Hello everybody and welcome back to the finale of Britannia by Gaslight. There is one of us missing at the moment. Don't worry, Charlie will be here ASAP, but Windows is currently taking them hostage. So once the Windows update has allowed them to play, we'll have everybody here. But that doesn't stop us from getting started, so we'll go around and quickly introduce our two players here today, and then we'll get straight on with the game itself and get moving on with everything. So we will start off to this side, as it's not mirroring me as much today, and we'll go with Pro Restarter. Welcome back, Pro.
Hey, yes, I'm glad to be back playing Alucard, Dampier Investigator Extraordinaire, Wild Party Animal, and drugged up on blood, apparently.
Very much so, yep.
That's me.
And, of course, our brilliant not half vampire this game, Lilith. Welcome back, Wendy. And it begins.
I'm very excited to be here today. I'm playing Lilith, a con artist extraordinaire. Slowly learning little bits about her past because she doesn't remember any of it. And she's here. She's got one of her two closest and only friends, Alucard. So I'm sure everything will be fine, and no vampires will try to eat her.
No.
Get this delivered to York and get back to London in 2 shakes.
Nothing like that will happen at all. I'm pretty sure everything will be completely fine. And
yes, and I'll finish this bango board that I have up.
Certainly. I mean, that's something to think about. And speaking of the bango board and the rest, previous session, you all made your way to Sheffield, finally making it there on the train and taking a stop off to get some proper rest and to check out what was going on in the city. You found out that things there were quite dour, though they were holding their position, the Steel City still holding strong. However, it seemed that one of the targets, the old doctors of the labs that Alexander was looking for was located in the city, and he went to work with Lady Faye, having a bit of a hand in helping with the killing. However, since that time, you've all had a not-so-restful night, as the two of you, Lilith and Alucard, went out on a night of partying, debauchery, and other words with orchery in them. And you've all had a nice pass-out in your bed. And you wake up in the morning, everything seeming fine, Alexander and Faye already having packed, and Frank pretty rested by this point. And as you all eventually make your way back to the train for your final ride towards York, Alucard, you don't sense as many animates in this area anymore. You don't sense as much undead in the area. They've moved. And you take a very quiet and very strange walk towards the train, knowing, of course, there was the issue with the mines, but not having the time to deal with it just yet. But it may be something for you at least to keep in mind. And as the train journey got going, and as you all began to make your way, the chugging of the train once again kicking in, the speed picking up, you have about an hour until you arrive in York, you think.
So soon. Are there any ghosts on this train this time?
How do you look for them or seek them?
I mean, we saw them just walking around last time.
So there isn't. Not since you dealt with the train itself did you actually see any other spirits roaming the area. There is only yourselves. There is Alexander.
Lilith had to take a quick check because she was coherent, she saw herself, she passed out, woke up in a furnace, and then was almost dead for, the last train ride. So she doesn't, it's not...
It's not so cut and dry.
Yeah.
Completely understandable. And
hello, ghost. I'm all alone. Oh, a dark hallway. I should walk down it.
Okay, so aside from your ghost busting not going so well, you do continue your journey, and the rest of you.
Look, we only have an hour to get to York. Lilith's going to get all freshened up because that is where we're supposed to do diplomancy or something.
Diplomancy.
Yeah. Diplomancy.
You're
I'm a
not ready for my
diplomancer.
magic arts of diplomancy.
I'm a diplomancer.
That's a great way to call it. I'm not gonna lie.
It is, yeah. Exactly.
I mean, have you seen my stats? I was built for diplomancy.
Yeah,
I'm a
you were.
diplomancer.
You trained for years in the College of Diplomancy Magics.
I did.
Okay, so your diplomancy aside, you begin to get yourself looking better. You begin to get yourself ready, and the train continues to chug and chug along. And as you get closer, you hear the train begin to get quieter and quieter around you, very strangely so. And eventually, all of you are left in a relative silence as you see the train, the windows still moving by, these walls underground over and over again, the dust kicking up constantly. But what you don't see is, well, anything else. You just see these walls moving for a long time. And just as you may have thought that perhaps something is a little wrong here, you do see light appear around the tunnel. And as you've made all your preparations, you begin to see the train pull up and out of the tunnels before going on to what looks to be a half-constructed train station on the outside. There are rail tracks that run through that look disused, and there is, in the distance, you can see out the window as you look towards the city, you can see these large, old medieval walls that ring the entire city, and a big metallic gate that has been placed where there should be a normal opening that is blocking off the way, just a little distant from you. And the train begins to pull up and slow, and you finally hear that noise kick in again, the chugging, the grinding of the wheels, and it stops. And the doors all open automatically.
Well, this was a very different ride, but just as unsettling as before.
Maybe slightly less unsettling as before. I like not waking up in a furnace this time.
I guess that's true. My experience was different.
Yes.
The anger. Well, I know, right? Well, we're here finally. It's a smooth ride. And I feel like the worst is behind us.
Let's hope so. I was kind of hoping we'd pop up somewhere in the city, but I suppose that's it over there.
Frank sort of looks over at you all and goes, so is this the place, only it looks a bit distant? Like a walk away. And there's big walls. What's that about?
It's probably to keep the animates out.
Yes. Strong walls. Save people. Or do they think?
I mean,
Right.
London's walled in as well.
I mean, can animates climb?
Look,
I'm unsure.
to
if they can climb.
Alucard.
They smarter ones could, I guess, right?
Yeah, they can. Also, they more instinctually seem to almost like pile of bodies up a wall sometimes.
World
Oh.
War Z kind of
Yeah,
thing.
like
Oh.
War Z kind of thing, where they'll kind of like just come at the wall so much that this overpour of bodies will happen, which is pretty gross.
Well, they can, yes. Maybe the wall is electrified too?
Maybe, but it don't look like it is, he says from a distance, but he kind of nods.
I swear, if this city's filled with animates, we come too late.
He looks a bit nervous, the child, the sort of small teen boy of Frank.
Lilith
like,
just looks
"Oh."
peeved. Like, I swear, if we came all this way and the city's been overrun by animates,
You're gonna stop my shoot!
I almost died.
I'm gonna get a refund on all of my train tickets.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to demand to speak with the queen herself. And
And-
seduce her because she's on the bingo board.
Of course. And Alexander sort of steps out and looks through the window and seems to have his knives strapped to his side as usual, which he pulls his coat over and nods at you both, looking to be quite a better mood than usual. He has a slight spring to his step, unlike every other day. Good morning.
Happy
to
we're in
both of
York,
you.
Alexander.
Yes, I am actually. It's been quite a distant journey, but you know, it's interesting to see these walls again. Some improvements have been made, however. Large gate for one. And what about the two of you? It seems you were busy last night, Alucard, but our business was dealt with.
Yes. I had to go see an old friend and I got some good news. So it was a rare occasion I could actually enjoy myself.
Well, I'm glad you had fun. I can reflect that sentiment. So, we to enter? We have the papers to do so. Hopefully, when we arrive at the gate, they will listen to Lady Faye or to yourselves, and we will get through within quick time.
Hopefully.
Do you
Who
detect
are we
anything?
meeting?
He says to you, Alucard.
I just kind of raise an eyebrow because he's saying it so blatantly.
Yeah.
I don't know what you mean, but
Do you know is your...
it seems
knack-
quiet.
He nods. I just know you have a bit of a thing for sort of predicting when certain things are coming.
Yes, he's got an excellent danger sensor.
Exactly.
Yes, I quite skilled in various things, but I do not. Do I?
So as you try and sense, as you press the QTE and you go into that mode,
Up,
you go
down,
into your
up,
detective
down.
vision. Yeah, up, down, up, down.
A-B.
Okay, and you have a look around. You throw out your sense further afield, and you begin to detect those blips of unlife out there, of death that has come back. And you detect many. But you don't detect them surrounding the place. You detect them to the west of the area, off in the distance, but you detect hundreds, if not more, of presences out there. All in one location. Spread out over one location. Which is a strange thing. Ordinarily, they usually spread out and they're sporadic. But
Yeah. Have I come across this kind of thing before? Like, does it signify that there is some kind of force or like guiding hand with like this
So-
current grouping?
yeah, so how about you give me a quick, for you, I'll go with history. Unless you've got parapsychology, in which case use parapsychology for me.
I don't. Would my background have any of this?
I'll give you a +2 because you have a background in dealing with these things. You were here throughout the reclamation. You were trapped in this area. So,
Okay. And what skill am I running with that?
if
Just
you roll on
intellect?
history or parapsychology if you have it. If you don't, then just add a +2.
Okay. So, just +2. Boop.
Okay.
Yes. My keen mind.
Your keen mind that got
So-
you
17.
17.
So I think as I'm doing this, we're outside and I'm like kind of picking up the dirt, smelling it, like have no wind kind of blow it, and looking around, doing a kind of like a survival ritual, just for the mundanes, and I kind of think back with why now.
Okay. And you think back to what you know, and you have a sort of look. And as you do, you do come across something in your mind that has slipped for quite a while. It always felt like it was perhaps just a rumor, perhaps just something that was said in passing and nobody really believed. But what you do remember is that during the reclamation there were certain places, certain villages or towns that were taken much quicker by the animates. And there were stories that some of them said that there was a strangeness to how they moved. They were almost organized. They were almost one. Like each of them were linked, almost. But of course, the other cities, the other towns, the ones that survived, laughed it off. They saw it as they're just afraid of them. They're seeing things where it's not.
Would I know about would I know about ghouls and like kind of like hive minds and things like that?
You would. You know about ghouls. Rare creatures, very rare. But there are areas where you've found such creatures, and they do have a much more organized feel to them. They're more powerful than animates, but they do seem to have this sort of almost linked communication between ones that are in the same area, or this instinctual way of them acting, and some have likened it to a hive of sorts.
I stand up and I kind of look to everyone and I just say, if you look, you see some drag marks down there, a large movement, animals going through here, around the bend behind us, not too long ago. A large cluster off to the, what was it, the west, you said?
The west.
Off to the west, I think. Something, now, this is only rumors, but with what I know from my travels, is that something is coercing them, bunching them up, forcing them all into one place, and, well, what happens when you have a dam filled with water and you explode it?
I'm not a dam builder. I'm not. I get the gist. So we're not going west, is what you're saying?
Well, I think what's going west could be coming here.
Uh-huh.
I think we should do our business and leave. That kind of
Yes.
formation is once in a blue moon.
Right.
I agree.
You
I've heard
didn't get
rumors.
out, no fucking about. I get it. All right, let's go quietly. Let's move it.
I've heard rumors of such things before as well, but I didn't believe them true.
And I think after this little escapade, any strange rumors we hear from now on, we can have a bit of truth to it, I guess.
Yes, I believe after we've gone through all we've seen, it's a safe assumption to most things is that they're true, no matter how strange. He nods at you and looks at you, pointedly a little bit a la carte, as if to say yes.
I gotta give him like a
Because
wink.
you're totally
like,
not our vampire, you know. It's
I'm real wink wink.
a la carte, the realist. Okay. And he looks over at both of you and nods. We should probably make our way towards the town then, or the city.
Imagine he looks over and Alucard's winking, but Lilith's just, you know, a little wink too. So he's just looking over and there's just these two people and they're like,
Yeah,
Like a minute goes by, like,
he kind of like has a moment to look at it and sort of stares at you and just kind of straightens himself out and gets himself settled. Let's make our departure.
yes, thanks.
And then takes his step off. Again, with a bit of a spring in his step today, as he takes
He's
off.
so happy
that
he
side.
murdered someone last night.
He is, he's so happy. He got a murder in. You know how it
I'm
is.
I'm gonna move very quietly as we go towards the city.
Okay. So give me a shadow check, please.
I don't want to get caught. So.
I'm just kind of like staying quiet, kind of like holding like that kind of, I can be as quiet as death kind of thing. And I'm gonna stay behind the group, just kind of watching around, see if I can see any signs of activity.
I'm gonna reroll that.
I was gonna say I saw it come in and I was like, ooh.
I don't want to get hit by animates.
Ooh.
It's better.
So you're tiptoeing behind people. You're using your friends as cover. Like you believe that
Yeah.
if you sneak around this side,
They're not using me
they'll
as
see
cover
them.
now.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's a thing. So you
It's one
begin
of those
to
things
use,
where
like,
I don't have to be the
Alexander and
fastest
Alcantara.
runner in the group. I just have to be faster than. the
Of
person
course,
next to me.
of course. And if you trip them,
The boy
you
who's
don't
the
have
only
to
one.
be. Okay, so, and as you're sort of hiding yourself away, what were you saying again? Sorry, Alucard. You were sort of.
Yeah, so I'm staying behind, kind of looking, and I'm just trying to see if there's any information of large numbers kind of moving off in the
Right.
distance, or if there's anyone scouting
Okay.
our way.
So could you give me a very quick survival check, please, if you've got that, and
do
add your
have
perception to it as well, as you get your bonus for having good eyes.
Survival and What's perception again, Will?
It is wit.
Wait. I get a +1, I believe. I swear, every time I have to do this, I'm just like, how do I play again? What?
It's alright,
How do
no.
I do math?
The will for perception has come up multiple times in the past week, so it's fine. It's willpower? No, wit.
What's a game? 19.
Wow, okay, so on your 19, you have a look around and look for those drag marks, those signs of movement, and you do see them. It seems that they've moved around quite recently. Perhaps the previous night they were making movements from around this area, luckily away and towards the west. Though these tracks do seem to be a bit old, it seems that if they were to try and make their way here and they move at the pace of an animate that you know, they would probably get here within a few hours at the most. They, after all, don't need to rest or breathe, so they just continually would power on towards you.
Okay. And, they're like that distance away from me, like a
Yes.
few hours away. Okay.
They're quite a while away. You're pretty safe. You believe that if they were to start moving, or if they detected you back, or at least your allies, not so much you, they wouldn't get here in time for you to make it all the way to the town and at least have an hour to spare.
Okay. And how far is it from where the train to the place?
It's only about a 10-minute walk. It's not a long walk at all.
We can ditch if we need to.
Yeah, basically. It's about a 10-minute walk in good conditions.
Okay.
You think.
I can only carry one, and I'm running away.
Of course. So you begin to make your way over, and you see a stream of water running through with a old bridge that crosses it, and you begin to wind around and cross that area. And all of you make it towards the front gates, where one of the guards atop the wall does peek over. This sort of very old, like I said, medieval wall, just ringing the entire place of York, as he looks over and down at you all, and exchanges a very quick conversation with Lady Faye, who, using her very good diplomatic skills, manages to broach her way into the wall quite quickly, especially after Sheffield. She looks at you both and nods before heading in, and you all follow, I imagine, unless you wish to stay outside in the wastes.
Oh no!
Just checking.
It's all the same to me.
And as you make it in, you see an interesting scene. As you step through into the city of York for the first time, it's quite different from London. There is, of course, no upper city above it. It's not shadowed like London is itself. The place has many built-up areas. There are buildings that are reinforced. There are many people that you see here. It seems most people from the northern end of England have gathered here for its safety, either here or Sheffield, and here seemed safer to them. And you see many types of people there, but notably there's quite a few that look a little sick and some that look injured. They have gun wounds, they have knife wounds, they have various things bandaged up, and they kind of look over at you a bit skeptically as you're let in. But as you do, you're met at the front gate as one of the gentlemen walks down, and he's wearing some familiar blackened armor, and with very sort of hardened plates on it, and a gas mask which is quite telling of the Death Watch, something you haven't seen for a while. And he walks over and gives you both a very curt nod. Welcome to York. I'm sure your journey's been dangerous, but from what was said, you're here on a diplomatic meeting.
Yes.
What can I do for you? My name is Clancy, and it's good to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you, Clancy. My name is Lilith, and I introduce everyone in Lady Faye West.
Cool. He nods. Good to know. Now, if you're here on business, I would suggest heading further into the city. Nearer the walls is a dangerous place to be, especially at night.
Let me ask you, Clancy,
Yes, sir? What can I do
what's
for you?
been going on? Everyone seems sick or injured.
That's just what they are, sir. We have nightly raids on us by the animates recently. They hit at different times of the day. They hit in very particular moments. Ordinarily, they were striking on the change of watches. When some of our lads would be switching over is when they'd come. So we've changed the watches to suit this. The only thing is some of them do breach the wall. They get over, they wound some of those. We also have some travelers nearby who have been taking up shelter in the outer walls, just outside in the buildings that still remain there. We've of course suggested they don't, but they stay there nonetheless. Many of them are dead now, which makes them of course bolster the ranks of the animates out there.
You know what you just said, right?
Indeed.
They've been hitting, and you've been changing your guard.
We have.
So that means that belies some intelligence.
There does. Not the
Most
kind
likely.
we've seen in many years. My father, he told me about back in the Reclamation that there were certain things like this happening. Wiped out entire towns.
A bigger raid is coming.
It
You can
is.
feel it.
You know,
Watch yourselves.
indeed. I heard that they were moving out towards a couple of the other settlements. We've lost contact with all of them around here. The only thing we've heard from is Sheffield, and only very rarely. Even they're struggling. But we're holding, and we'll continue to until we can't no more, sir. Now then, if you're here for business, as I said, head towards the central districts. We have some better business buildings there for you. There are places to stay. Whilst you are here, whoever your business is with will no doubt put you up in certain locations. If you're here on medical business, from what I've heard, he says hearing sort of your names. I would suggest heading further in towards the center. To the back end of that is a sectioned off area that is dedicated to the Lovell Research Center from the Lovell Society. They're the people you're looking for. At least that's what I've heard. I imagine you haven't even heard the name before.
Not me personally, no.
They're rather secretive. And they don't like their word to get out to London, I believe. Be careful when you're there. I don't quite trust them myself.
I will.
I'm sure you will. But if you've made it all the way here, then you're clearly capable. So, behave yourself whilst in there. We won't confiscate your weapons, but please do take to it that you keep them concealed if possible. We don't want the masses to panic.
Of course. I won't scare the locals.
Good. Now then, you have a good day, he says, and then he gets back to walking up the stairs towards the wall. And in the distance, Alucard, could you please make me a very quick wit check? Perception again. And same with you, Lilith, as you're kind of close enough to this.
Yes, I'll make a wit check.
Yeah, I can't find my bonus if it's
Plus
like
two.
+1 or anything like that.
Oh, that's better. Okay.
So 4.
I believe it's +2 to your perceptions. Cool. So,
Is it +2? Okay,
I think
so
it's
that's
+2 to
16.
your perception when it comes to your senses as a Dampier, yes.
Okay, I'm trying to find it all.
No, completely
That sounds
understandable.
right.
Sounds about right, so we'll go with it. It's only the finale, it's fine. Okay, so, so you both have a listen out, and as you do, your eye sort of wanders over, and the two of you will both sort of pick out that there are sort of multiple Death Watch members on the wall. And as you look into the distant corner of your eye, you turn a bit as you hear a noise, and you see that there seems to be about 3 of them that are stood, and all have very sort of steely looks on their face. They're not wearing their respirators, and the rest of them that line up near them are. And you see one of them, like, they all look to be resigned to something, and they all look stern-faced as you see them draw the gun and fire 3 times, each of them in the head. And immediately afterwards, they boot them off the wall. But each of them, as they see this, seem almost resolved to it. They seem to almost accept it. You do see fear in at least one of their eyes, but even they seem to stand and not even flinch as it happens.
Well,
Seems almost wasteful. He's wearing all their armor and everything, and they just kicked them on the other side of the wall. It's just
yes,
like resources.
it does. They could have given that to some people, trained them up.
You do
Yes.
see most of their armor was stripped.
Okay.
The main thing they had on them was sort of their uniform,
Oh,
as
okay.
if they were going out with this thing that they
Just
take
imagine
as a
them
pride and
and
honor
then
to
chucking them out like
themselves.
what?
They didn't kick them off with all their plate on. No. Well, we don't need this crucial supply.
Derek always wanted to be buried in his stuff.
Yeah, he did.
So how long does it take for, like, if someone gets bitten, do they get turned straight away, or does it take time?
Usually, there's many theories on that from what you've seen. Usually it's after death that they will turn if they're bitten and if they're infected, but there are certain times that people have died from the infection and become animates that are much stronger because of the lack of damage to their body. So generally speaking, if they are members of this group and they are infected and they're wearing all their armor when they turn, it would be a horrible time because you would then have this absolute armored animate running around at people.
Lilith leans over again like, but they put them on the other side of the wall and they're dead. Won't that mean they come back? Why don't they just burn them or something?
Yes, I mean, not only that, but it's also dead bodies that we have diseases, so it's gonna attract more diseases.
Seems like a recurrent problem. We should. I don't know. I don't know how to figure it out, but just seems like they're making more zombies, and it's not great.
This is my TED talk on body disposal.
Yes, maybe they should find a better way of doing it. We should ask Alec. He seems to be knowledgeable about that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Untalkative though. Just nods.
He's like, I am good, yes.
Yes. He's like, nods in the distance. Nods in Alec.
Yeah.
So, but you're all
Alright, well, I
stood,
suppose we should go in.
and you begin to make your way in. And as you wind through the streets, there is still this sort of all-pervading thing that shows the death here, that shows the struggle that all these people are going for. There seems to still be some trade, however, but notably the two of you, given your sort of predisposition for this sort of thing, you notice that a lot of the places that are open are bars and are houses of ill repute and the like. It seems that
Ill repute.
there is a lot of a sort of
Fun houses.
fun houses, as you call them, yes. There's a lot of sort of illicit activity going on here, and it seems almost like they don't care to enforce it. Like, they seem to almost accept that this is what it is.
Lilith feels right at home then, because this is pretty much her scene back in London for a decent bit.
But as you make it deeper in, you do begin to see that more normal stores appear and more houses appear that are in better repair, though all mostly reinforced in some way. And you do see there's a heavy presence of Death Watch throughout the entire city. But you do make it towards the center, where you see there is a very friendly-looking young lady wearing a dress and a waistcoat and having a badge on her side that basically says the Lovell Research Society, and then underneath it it says, "Hello, my name is Cynthia." And she stands there with a briefcase in hand and looks at you all and nods. She seems to have...
I look at her fancy badge and don't understand what it means, because I can't read.
You see that, Lilith?
Oh, I see, yes, quite attractive.
I'm like, the bedroom. Hello, Cynthia.
Why, hello there, sir. Welcome to the city of York. It's lovely, isn't it?
No.
Right.
Well, the outer parts aren't, but the inner parts are quite nice, and I think you'll find that there's many things here that could keep you entertained. Still, I am so happy to see you all here, all the way from down in London. Such a pleasure to receive all of you here. Do you have the canister?
It depends. Are we supposed to give it to you or someone else?
No, you bring it in. You will all bring it to our labs. We will take you there. We'll give you a nice tour as well. And then, of course, you can meet the person in charge of this particular research operation, and they will take it off of you.
I want an insight checker.
Yeah.
Sure, you can insight check her.
That's
What is that?
wit.
That's a wit, yes. As you try and look through.
I'm so good with people, and I'm so bad with people.
Can you sense with this or?
18.
Your keen senses wouldn't kick in with this particular thing. You're trying to read her personality more than just looking at her. But still, the two of you determined that, no, she's not lying. She's definitely going to take you there, and she's definitely going to hand you over to somebody. She seems to be very professional in her manner, but she seems to be a little
And she does seem to
tired.
be the right person for the canister, not like, oh yeah, give us the
100%, yes.
canister, yeah.
She seems to be the correct person. It seems
On the
she's
up
been
and up.
sent
All right.
by them and on the up and up. She does seem a little bit tired and a bit irritated that she's been sent out of her work in her lab to come and greet all of you.
Well,
That is clear,
that's-
but she's hiding that.
Well, if she's irritated, that's a sign that she's probably more legitimate than like, yeah, give me the canister. So let's relax a little bit.
Indeed. So, while she does look a bit perturbed, it's probably because you've taken her away from her work to come and meet you, at least as far as you can see.
I would say to her, we're only supposed to deal with people who actually know what they're doing with the canister.
Of course, yes. Whilst I don't entirely know what the canister is, I do know, of course, that the research projects that are led in our labs are to do with it. And whilst I will not ask to take it from you or look inside of it, of course, it is not my business to deal with that. My superiors would love to see you and speak to you, and they are the ones who you are to deliver it to.
Of course.
Please, there is no need for me to deceive you. I am merely here to take you in. My own research is very separate to theirs, and I would love to get back to it. So if you would please follow me, I will take you there immediately.
Of course, Cynthia. How charming.
Unless you
What
need
kind
food,
of research
of course.
is it that you do?
Mostly, I look into chemistry. I've been looking at ways to dispose of the bodies better. I've thought of acid and things like that, but it gets quite messy. But
Messy.
we're trying to find quicker ways of disposing with them.
A
that would
very
be-
noble cause. I approve of your research highly.
Yes, of course.
Very noble of
I've
you.
been currently looking into finding out if there's a way to sort of sever the connection to what would be an animate. I thought the head is easy, but it still looks messy when you're burying them. My particular research is in looking into stopping that connection of death to undeath, so that we can bury our dead properly and, of course, stop this epidemic that is all over our country. But alas, it's very complicated and it's quite boring to most people, so I won't go on about it.
Keep up the good work.
I certainly will. It's not like I'm leaving, so, you know.
Just think you're doing a great thing is all. It literally occurred to me almost moments ago. I was like, man, someone really should be looking into this, and here you are.
Yes, we are looking into it. I imagine you've seen what happens at the walls. I think there are a few of the Death Watch that were infected about a day ago. I
Not
think.
anymore.
Of course not anymore. They make sure to deal with it very professionally. Our Death Watch
Very.
here, they recruit quite well, and of course they rarely get infected. But when they do, they have to report to their superiors, and they are dealt with. They're all very conditioned to do it. They're quite brave. I myself could not imagine turning myself in such a way. But that is why they are there, and that is why we researchers do what we do, and avoid any conflict with such creatures.
I mean, you'd think that if they were going to die, you could use them as like a last, first stand, send them out on the bare minimum.
Do that sometimes. But we've had some issues where a few of them were taken quite quickly to the infection, you see. So we've had some issues where we've sent out a vanguard of sorts to go out first and to deal with things. But from what the Death Watch have told me and our labs, some of them have turned whilst in their armor with their weapons. And whilst they cannot make use of the weapons ordinarily, there have been cases where a few have, and that is quite disturbing. And of course, there is also the problem of if one turns on the front line, then four more may. It is not the best. So we usually give them a day. They say goodbye to their loved ones, their families, and then they're cast off the wall. As I said, not ideal. That's what my research is for. I'm trying to find a way where we don't have to fling them across the wall so much. It's barbaric.
Stop them in acid.
Yes. Just gonna put people off a giant acid fountain in the center of town. We'll just baptize
into
people
that,
in it when
yeah.
they're about to die. No, yes, it's a little bit. Yes, of course. Just keep walking.
And as
Now
you
that it's
keep-
gotten more scientific, it's like,
So, do tell me, she says, she's kind of leading you through. It's quite a long walk, apparently. She's like, what have you been up to? How have you got here? It's a rather long journey.
yes. Very carefully.
It's only about as fast as we got the message that you were on your way that you were already here. rather peculiar. I don't think carriages travel that fast.
Well, you know what it's like with messages. They tend to be delayed, especially with some of the recent activities.
Of course. My apologies.
In fact, we're fortunate it got here at all, let alone before us.
Yes.
How so?
It's quite dangerous, that route. I know we made good time, but,
No, of course.
the message
of
could have gotten
course.
lost in many chances, I'm sure.
Yes, it could have. I mean, we mostly have our own ways of doing that, but communication from London is very rare. But we have some of our own ways of doing things. Still, it's a pleasure to meet all of you. It's rare we get visitors, so I for one, am happy to receive you all.
Well, I look forward to seeing our charge, too.
Your charge?
The person that we're supposed to be taking all this stuff with.
Right, yes, of course. My apologies. It's always a little bit of a confusing one when you say things like charge. You're looking for a Miss Valerie Gray when you get in there. She runs the research at the Biological Foundation.
Like Hobby and Pro at the exact same face.
Well, yes.
Miss Valerie Gray?
Miss Valerie Gray, yes.
Well, I look forward to meeting Mr. Gray.
I imagine. Most of us here, we take different names based on colours, so that isn't her real name per se. We try and do it to protect ourselves and also to make it easier when we're looking for files, because if you're looking for, say, for instance, my own area is brown, so if they're looking for blank brown, they know that we're looking at certain things. For my instance, chemistry.
Why would you need to protect yourselves?
Because if our research got out, it would be difficult. It'd be dangerous, wouldn't it?
Would it? I would have thought if your research got out, it would help a lot of people.
Possibly, but there's always failed versions of it, sir. To find a solution, you first go through many things that fail. That's how experimentation works.
Yes, but I would figure transparency is most important.
Oh, definitely not, sir. Do you think the masses understand science? Because they really don't. It's not in their education.
Well, then I suppose it being leaked shouldn't worry you too much.
Of course, because if we went around saying we're cutting up animates and looking into how to sever the certain bond that makes them between life and death, they'll go, "You're doing what? You're bringing animates into a lab? Ah, so scary." Whereas in reality, it's very contained. But fear would spread.
As she says that, we're gonna...
You can give me another check if you want.
Yeah, and Lilith's like, oh yes, I can see how the panic could spread.
I think, as a half, I think I sense them. As a damp, yeah. I sense...
Oh, you mean like you're sensing undead?
Yeah.
Okay, you don't sense any right now.
Okay. Yes, we
You
just have
keep
them
that
all
up while we walk
downstairs.
deeper into the city.
We just keep them downstairs.
What do you think the sewers were for?
Wow. I mean, that's always a time. So as you're beginning to slowly get led through, you enter an area that looks very different. It's much cleaner than the rest of the entire city. And there is a
Ew.
big electric fence that completely lines the way. And you see towers that are letting off little bits of electricity at a time. It's not the best fence. They seem to need to find a better solution for it, but they're keeping it going. There's barbed wire all across the top of it. And on top of that, you see what looks to be 4 Death Watch guards, though with a different badge on them that denotes them as private to the Lovell Society, dressed in this thick armor. And they all look at you and nod.
I do not, I wave.
To enter again, are you? Back, Miss Brown? Yes, yeah, I'm back. I brought our guests. Very well. Please enter, they say, and immediately open the gate. And as you kind of walk past them and sort of brush by them a la carte, could you give me a very quick wit check, please? And it is perception.
Yeah. I'm gonna set the hell out of them. 20, yeah!
Oh, yeah, you do.
You pass, and it's as you all pass in, and the gates close behind you and shut, that you catch a scent. It wafts past you barely, and you catch it. You smell not undead, entirely as you'd expect, say, an animate.
I swear to God.
You smell something much closer to you. Vampires.
How many?
And you detect that at least 2 of the guards behind you are indeed vampires.
I'm real glad I'm wearing my contacts today.
But again, all of the Death Watch wear very blacked out sort of gear, so they're blocked and they're protected from any of the elements.
What is there windows in this room?
You're not in the room right now, you're outside.
Oh, we're outside.
So you're walking through a gate that opens up into a big area where the labs are located, and through a big electric fence that's just shut behind you.
I just have to roll something real quick.
Yeah. Oh no, that's right. 2 of the Death Watch are vampires. Man.
Let's see here. Anytime a vampire is confronted by a vampire, he must make a will roll, DR 14.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's where Charlie comes back and we're like, so we died to vampires.
You get to add concentration to this will check, though.
You do, yes.
I know, because I was very concerned about my damper character with this.
Okay, so wit and concentration. Oh, okay.
Will and concentration.
Oh, will and con. Okay, cool.
Yes.
I just upped my concentration, so there we go.
Yeah, and it
There you
worked
go.
out, it seems, as you managed to resist that urge, as you realize that 2 of the guards there are
25.
indeed... Oh, 25, yeah, very
Ooh.
nice. Okay, cool.
He's keeping us cool.
Yeah, he's keeping his cool, as you managed to keep it completely cool. And you see that the 2 of them are indeed with 2 humans, from what you can smell. Living, normal humans. It seems strange that they're mixed in such a way, because you know that vampires are, of course, predators of humans. It's almost like they're a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Oh no, Lindy froze. Oh no, okay, cool. I'm going to, as we're walking, I'm going to kind of go close to Lilith and kind of, almost like I'm wrapping my hand, like to kind of like put my hand in yours and get close to your ear, and be like, 2 on the wall. Blood drinkers, be careful.
Like you, or the ones.
Laugh.
Mm.
Could you give me a very quick acting check, please?
So we're just told, like, hey, vampires gonna want you. Let's not. All right. Thankfully, I do have acting.
You do. So please.
I don't
roll me
get
an
to add
acting
anything
check.
to it, do
No,
I?
not in this case. It's a very immediate sort of laugh, and then you're laughing, so it's...
Oh.
Yeah, it's like,
right.
it's an inside joke.
17.
It's convincing enough as you suddenly ha 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 ha, and Miss Brown turns around and goes, "Oh, is something funny?"
Alucard. They're just inside joke.
Oh,
Just kind of
please
like
share.
come away from it.
It's rare I hear many jokes.
Of course. So,
Hmm.
have you ever heard that one about the sheep, the famous sheep thief of London?
No, I haven't. That's a thing.
You haven't? Yes, it's a thing.
Oh.
I heard rumors of it in my district that I live in. You could say that there's a rumor that there's this eccentric person who keeps stealing sheep,
Right.
and how they do it is that they cover themselves in wool, and well, it's just he reminded me of it. He made a pun.
My. That's brilliant. I like that. That's a
It
very good
was.
story, in fact.
Yes, it's the famous sheep thief of London. Don't forget
Of
it.
course, we have much darker stories here, so it doesn't really work as well.
Oh.
She says, and then turns and gets to walk. And continues toddling along. She's quite happy with herself as she continues to tell you, oh, the building on the left. And she's mainly saying to Lady Faye what the buildings are and welcoming her. And you're beginning to approach what looks to be a large building in the
Pedo
center of this
slit.
complex. And
As we are walking as well, could I also try and get Alex?
yeah, you
his,
can
like,
easily,
attention?
yeah, get Alex's attention.
And I'm just going to say to him, you remember when I was in your room and you wanted to test out to see who would come up when I found your secret?
Yes.
You may be able to test that soon enough, but with someone very different than myself. They kind of like eye up, like around me.
Yeah, he doesn't look. He seems to get the idea. Given that he's a part of the Secret Service, it seems he's good at subtlety, and he kind of nods and goes, "That was a good one."
Yes,
Very funny.
barely believable. Am I right?
You certainly pulled the wool over my eyes, he says.
That's
and
a
gives
bad
you a bit
joke.
of a smile and then nods as if understanding. And you see he does kind of shift his posture slightly so that he could reach his knives if needed. And as you're walking around the complex, you see tens of these other Death Watch soldiers, and around half of them, every single time you see a group, half of them are always turned. And there's a lot of them. There are tens upon tens of this mixture of human and vampire. And you see the vampiric ones especially take notice in you. Whereas the human ones are still making conversation and noticing this. Sort of
Oh,
look a
so
bit
we're just
odd from
walking
them.
by and like all these heads are turning?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Though it's in the distance, like it's not like drawn to your attention too much unless you'd been told. But there's certainly this feeling where now that you know, you can't stop seeing it. As you see them each kind of turn away from whatever they're doing and lock their eyes, especially on Alucard, before they turn back to their whatever they're doing. And again, their human companions seem to just be a bit confused. You do walk past one quite close who looks at you, Alucard, before turning back, and he goes, "Hey, is everything alright? You look a bit confused, mate. We're on break." "Come on, Larry, you're alright." And things like that.
I think as we're gonna get in these looks, I think I'm just slowly like I unclip my breather, take off my hat, and I just drop them behind me.
Nice. Miss Brown kind of looks back and goes, "You seem to have dropped your breather, sir. You don't want to get the lung hurty."
Keep going.
All right, sir." She says a bit confused, but nods and sort of adjusts her hat. "Follow me." And she continues on. And as you get towards the centre of the complex, after all these heads have been turned and they've been looking at you, you can see these multiple buildings that are built up around here. This entire section of the city has been turned into this lab, this complex. You walk into a larger building, which seems to be made of very big white blocks of stone, and looks very clean and pristine all the way, almost polished in how it is. And they open the door for you and nod. "Please, right inside, and I will lead you right to where you need to meet Miss Grey."
Thank you.
I have a bad feeling.
Fantastic.
When you got through how many people?
Yeah, exactly. So you make it through, and you step into a very sort of very clean area again. Everything here is sort of this pristine, clean white color, well, shade, as you see sort of this white tiled floor, tiled sides of the room as well, and everything seems to be able to be wiped clean at a notice. Very sort of cleanly looking. But it's bizarre. There's not many sort of things that denote this place as anything else. It is very blank and very plain and very unsettling in that manner. The only thing that seems to mark it out as a certain room is a sign at the side of the door that says what it is, and this area seems to be reception. And you do see there is a gentleman behind a desk who looks up at the two of you and the rest of you as you enter and goes, "You must be here to have your meeting with Miss Grey, yes? We're expecting you."
Yes.
"Very well. Please do come over. I've got a few things that you need to sign before you enter the complex." He takes out some documents and sort of writes your name on each of them. And
Yeah. Oh, good. He writes it.
Yeah, he
That's
writes your name on each of them. As he asks
I
you,
thought he was
he
going to
sort of
hand them
fills
out
in
and
the
be like,
bits
"Why
he
don't you
needs.
all just sign this?"
No, one by one he sort of takes it, seems to write something on it, and then slide it over and hand it to you. And it seems, from what you can see, Alucard, just to be a contract, essentially an NDA, saying you do not speak about anything you see in there to the public, on punishment of course, being taken in as either a prisoner, as a criminal, or death if you reveal too much. A standard contract, basically, for labs and secrets of the state and things like that.
I give it a good scrutinous look.
Don't worry, I won't say anything about what's going on here.
I know you won't, sir. This is honestly just a formality.
Can I look this over quickly?
Yeah, you can. Have you got law?
I do have legal, yeah.
Hey, there you go. So can you give me your law then, please?
I remember I got
I
it
just
ages
look at
ago.
all these pretty squiggles on the piece of paper.
God, I was like, why do I have law? And finally, the last session.
It's all come full circle.
13.
So you look through the contract and it is very not sinister. It seems to be they are literally just making you sign something that says that you won't reveal anything. It's very standard. Like, you've seen these things before and heard of these things before. You've rarely been to sort of labs and things like that, but it seems to just be a form, given that you're not associated at all with the labs, that you won't speak about what research they're doing in there. Of course, contracts these days are also mostly useless outside of London, so...
Yeah. Okay. I slide it back.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you. He takes the contracts back and sort of gives each of you a nod. This is delightful. Thank you very much. You've all done a brilliant job. Everything is signed and in order, it seems. I'll make sure to go and let them know that you're here. And as soon as Miss Valerie Gray is available, we'll see to it that you have your meeting set. Please do take a seat. We'll bring you refreshments immediately. There's chairs around the side here you can take, and we'll be with you as soon as possible. Miss Brown, if you would, could you please keep our guests comfortable? And I'll be back very soon. And she nods. Of course, thank you. And he stands up, gives you all a very curt nod, politely, and makes his way through the end door and into the rest of the facility. Miss Brown stands there, very sort of politely still in her very plain-looking dress, and sort of smiles at you all brightly. It's rather interesting. I'm not really usually allowed in this building, so whatever's in here, I'm sure it's very exciting. My own building is the one on the way we showed. It is one of the outer buildings, a smaller one. Less fancy than this. But then again, this is Miss Gray's own department. Biomedical, things like that. Very interesting. Some very good advances here from what I've heard. So I'm sure you'll have a lovely time in there.
Yes, I'm sure we will. Tell me, do you have many people transfer in the Death Watch?
Oh, let me think. Not really, no. We usually have the Death Watch, our guards, if that's what you mean, are given to us, in fact. We have a patron of this place. The mayor themselves usually sees to it that we are split. We have a very, very lovely patron by Lady Vivian, who supplies us with many of these individuals. She sees to it that because she is, of course, our patron of our labs, that we get a healthy supply of very healthy and strong Death Watch. It's mostly not needed. They don't need to do much. They just sort of wander around, but they make people here feel safe.
Is Lady Vivian the mayor you speak of? Or
No.
just the patron?
The mayor is the mayor. He's a lovely gentleman, but the patron, she's a very wealthy, noble lady. She's set up quite well here, and she does, as I said, fund this place. Money seems to almost be endless.
How long has she been here in town?
Oh, around. I think just shy of the reclamation, actually. But she leaves from time to time, on business. I believe she went to Sheffield recently, if I remember rightly. I just remember the carts, the very armoured carts, very covered. And the Death Watch, of course, was sent with her so that she could make a diplomatic visit.
Interesting.
She arrived back recently, actually. I think around a few days ago.
I think we've met, actually. Red hair.
Oh, yes, beautiful red hair. Very, very beautiful lady. I must say, her education and her way of presenting herself is far beyond her years.
Yes, I think I was actually going to her estate now that you mention it.
Oh, you were?
What's the quickest way there?
Well, of course, you'd need to make sure that you're in the higher area. I say higher area, it's kind of just off the side of a street. But if you go back to the area we were at before, north of there is this location, and just to the west of there is where her manor is located. She's staying in one of the biggest ones here, actually. She pays for it, of course. It's very noticeable. There are 2 large statues of lions outside. It is a beautiful, beautiful place. Very guarded, of course, because safety is everything, and Miss Vivian holds much of her wealth in there. But if she's expecting you, I imagine you'd be able to go right in.
Yeah, she seemed to hold her in high regard.
Yes. I mean, she's a very powerful lady, and she's done a lot for this city. I mean, without her, we wouldn't probably be here today. At least that's what some people say. I believe we'd have managed, personally.
I suppose that's true. Can I do like an insight to see how
Sure.
how enamored is
Yeah, you can. You can certainly give me that.
If there's something more to it than just she pays for my love. What is it again for insight?
Oh, it's just your wit and your wit. So if you got psychology, you can use that, but otherwise just give me a wit.
Okay, cool. I just can't remember what it was.
It's all good.
15.
So you have a look at her and see how enamored she is with her, and Miss Brown doesn't seem to be that enamored with her. She seems to respect her, probably on account of the fact that she is this very wealthy, beautiful, and educated lady who's done so much for the city. Like, she seems to generally just admire her, but also does seem to have the thought that while she is very admirable, while she is very, amazing in all of her own ways, that they would have survived anyway, is what Miss Brown seems to think. She seems to think that it isn't all due to her, and that it's all sort of overblown.
Okay.
Respectful, but seems to disagree a bit with the general consensus. She's not enamored.
I think I just kind of sit back and just kind of look towards Lilith and just kind of roll my eyes.
Lilith looks like she's trying not to think about how Alucard's been acting. Like, goodbye respirator, goodbye this. She's like, probably means there's more than just the 2 on the wall, and he was putting more in here.
Yep, and don't mind my tech.
Hey.
Don't mind the man behind the curtain. I just need to quickly level things out, but can continue on. By all means, I will just move things around in the tech here, and then we'll get to go.
How lovely.
Welcome.
Yay,
Welcome, Charlie. It's great to have you back.
Yeah.
After Windows has finally relinquished its hold upon you, you finally come back to your senses, Lady Faye.
Oh no, she can't hear
Oh
anything.
no, she can't hear us. This is not good.
We all got eaten by vampires.
We all got eaten by vampires. Still, everything is positioned up, but yes, that is strange. But whilst Lady Faye continues to sort of sit and sort of mull over these ideas, then whilst Charlie continues to figure out her tech quickly, the rest of you, yes, you are left there for a moment. And like I said, she doesn't seem enamored. She doesn't seem to be completely taken in. She more seems to just be respectful. So is there anything else you wish to ask, Miss Brown?
Not for me right now. I kind of look toward Lily.
Okay, no problem. So, you sort of take a moment to yourself, Alucard. You take a side seat and you sort of mull over what you're doing. You focus in on your senses, and I'll leave you there for now, Alucard. Lilith, anything you wish to ask? As Miss Brown kind of looks at you and goes, "Oh, I imagine you would love Lady Vivian. She is absolutely brilliant."
I'd imagine so. Sounds like a charming woman.
Very much so, yes.
Yes.
A lot of people here seem very taken by her.
Force of personality, then you could say, I suppose.
Oh, definitely force of personality, yes.
I've met a couple people like that in my time.
Oh, you have?
Yes, there's a few people in London who are very charismatic.
Like whom?
Oh, well, you see, the Lady Redthorn, well, let's say you can't ignore her at all. She enters a room and everyone is aware. If you've not heard of her, she's quite a force of personality. Very intriguing.
Curious.
Yes.
I have heard of Lady Redthorn, actually, yes. We've had a few messages through.
Oh, really? Doing anything recent?
I don't know. I don't really get to read them. I just heard about it.
Oh, I hope she's doing well.
I imagine so.
Mm.
But yes, regardless.
Insight check her Lady Redthorn knowledge.
Okay, yeah, you can give an insight check and that. Give me a wit.
Yeah.
Give me a wit, Rooney.
I'm so bad at this on this character. 12. Not bad. Not great, not bad.
Well, sorry about the typing there. Just sorting out some tech behind the scenes. Sorry about this. Well, she seems to not be hiding much about Lady Redthorn at all. She seems to tell the truth.
Oh, yeah, totally. Great. Sure. Awesome.
Totally. Great.
Yeah, great.
So, about that time, the receptionist comes back
Yes.
in and goes, if you would follow me, there has been tea and biscuits set out for all of you, and Lady, of course, Lady Grey will be with you very soon.
Of course. How hospitable of you. Thank you.
And about that time, you're all taken through into another room. This one looks to be much nicer. There is wallpaper on the walls, there is carpet on the floor, it looks very homely. And you're taken in, and there's a small oak wooden table in the middle. It's polished, it's very nice, and there is a perfect tea set on it, and there is a cloth that has been laid over it, and you can see that there are little cakes that have been put on there, very beautiful looking little cakes. And each of you have your seat.
Yes, a little sit right next to Alucard.
Okay.
What?
Just, there's vampires.
So
And
you-
as
she wants
if
to come.
in sort of a reflection of your initial meeting with Lady Redthorn, somebody walks in, and they look to be dressed impeccably. They have a sort of very nice waistcoat on, and they have a very beautiful dress that looks very practical, but it's very, very expensive. And you also see that they seem to have a look that is very familiar. Could the two of you give me a very quick wit check, please?
Perception? Based?
Not charm?
Yeah, perception based? No, you're not talking to Not charm?
Oh, this is Lady Red
From
Robot Pants.
Lady Red Robot Pants. That's not a character. in this
Lady
game.
Red Robot Pants.
No,
20.
it is not. But she looks incredibly familiar to Lady Redthorn. And as you look over
Cousin,
her,
is this Lady
a
Blackthorn?
relative, it seems. And she walks in and takes a seat and smiles, though seems to not have that same unhinged look that Lady
Oh.
Redthorn had.
Good. Lilith doesn't notice anything at all anyway, so she's just like, oh, cool lady. That's nice.
Welcome, all of you. It's been a long journey, from what I've heard. Welcome to our labs. Welcome to the Lovell Society of Science. We are, of course, happy to meet you, and of course have you here today. Please take a drink. Our receptionist took a while making sure the tea was just right for you. I believe it should be to your liking. It's one of the more southern teas rather than our own up here.
Do I get a bloop bloop?
No,
Okay.
she seems fine.
I'm
Let's drink this poisoned tea.
I'm gonna sniff the tea with my sensei.
Okay. You sniff the tea. You sniff the tea. Could you please give me a very quick wit,
We are
please?
so paranoid.
We're in the house of vampires.
Yeah, I'll give a little sniff too, because I'm very
Yeah.
familiar with drugs.
You are, certainly. I love that Alucard sniffs it, the person who is immune to poison. Like,
Yeah.
It's like, this still won't kill me. Very nice tea.
I know, right?
Gee.
It's so good.
What do you want me to roll to see if this is drugged tea?
Okay, no problem. And at this point, do we have Lady Faye?
we?
Oh my god, you're back. Good. Lady Faye, welcome back. So to recap you, Charlie, before we move on with these rolls about poison tea, you've all left after the previous night in York and have got on the train.
Just
You've made your way
drink
to York.
it, you cowards.
Yeah, basically. And you've
Sorry.
made it to York and you've been introduced in. The city seems to be in a bit of an interesting state. There are people that have seemingly some sort of sickness inside of the walls. You've seen that the Death Watch are pretty adamant on anybody that's infected in their own ranks. They kill and boot off the wall. They seem very, very quick to deal with that, and they all seem to be resolute in doing that. You've been led through the city to a nice centre district where you met a Miss Brown, who led you to the Lovell Society of Research and Science, which is an entire section of the city that is ringed by this electric fence. And upon walking in, the other two have found out something interesting that they haven't yet notified you of, so you'll find out in-game on that one. But you've been led through, and you've been led to meet the lady, whom you are apparently scheduled to meet for giving over of the canister, who is a Lady Grey, from what's been said. Their name is Lady Valerie Grey. And the other two have just noticed, and you would know this immediately as you'd pick this up, that she looks quite remarkably familiar to Lady Redthorn. She seems to look very similar, almost like a relative. And you're stood currently in a beautiful tea room that seems very different from the rest of the complex that you've walked through. And
now I know why they're sniffing the tea. Now it makes a lot more sense.
That's why there is the sniffing of
Fair
the
play,
teas.
team. Fair play.
That and this
tea.
town
Fair play,
is full
teams.
of vampires. So
Team tea sniffers.
Why do you feel like vampires are likely to poison someone? I feel like they've got a lot of other ways they
Okay,
can kill you.
they won't poison you, but they'll drug you until unconsciousness, then drink you dry.
Yeah.
They just need to squeeze your neck for like 30 seconds and it's
Yeah,
job
exactly.
done. I mean,
I think this is a lot of broad strokes you're painting vampires under right now. I don't.
I
you know.
just know what I would
As-
do on Thursdays.
as a DM for many vampires, most of them are too lazy to poison you.
Yeah, that's a lot of effort. Like.
Although now I'm gonna eye Ixus's
not
cakes
all.
with brand new suspicion.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yes, you've sat down with them, and
caught me. I've been
they're currently
looking
looking
at it for
over you all, and we'll have your little flashback to what happened previous night as well, Lady Faye, at some point soon. But the rest of you are sat here, and
Yes.
she kind of looks around and goes, "Please do drink. It's strange that you're sniffing it. It is quite aromatic, though, so I understand
yes,
such
I
things."
love a good aromatic tea. Is
Yes.
it poisoned?
It is not
Is it
poison,
drugged?
as the two of you
Okay.
have a thing. It is, in fact, the only thing it's spiked with is sugar.
Okay. I will sip the tea.
You sip it. It's delightful. It's really nice. It's a warm cup of tea. You haven't really had the opportunity to have a warm cuppa since you've left London. So this is like lifeblood right now. And
Okay.
not so much for you, Alucard. You're a vampire. Lifeblood is blood. But for the rest of you, it's quite nice. And the cakes are quite nice as well. And she kind of sits back. So I assume you've brought the canister with you and that it's safely arrived, yes?
Yes.
And whom has it?
I do.
Brilliant. Lady Faye Donmire, I assume.
Correct.
Brilliant. I've always wanted to meet you. I've heard brilliant things from London. You're apparently quite the thinker, quite the inventor, I've heard.
Well, I dabble in a few things, yes. It's very kind of you to say.
Oh, it's not kind at all. It's apparently true. And from what I have heard, you're quite the brilliant mind. So, overall, I'm happy to meet you, if anything else. It's delightful to see you. I must ask, however, how was the journey? You seem to have got here much quicker than we expected. We expected you to perhaps be here within a week from now. If, of course, you made it. which we were
Creative
hoping for.
travel solutions.
A brilliant way of saying it. And what may they be?
Mechanical solutions.
Oh, most intriguing, Lady
Building
Faye.
upon something my father had begun.
Oh, your father, yes. Brilliant man. Brilliant man. I'm so sorry for his loss.
You'll understand, of course, that I don't really want to divulge too
Nope.
many details until I've been to the
That's-
patent office.
Completely understandable. I wouldn't ask you to. If it has not been patented yet, by all means, we won't talk on it further, but I look forward personally to the papers that you may write on such a
I
subject.
truly believe it will bring civilization to the north.
Oh, well, I mean, that would be brilliant.
Obviously, York is a beacon, an exception,
Yes.
but we have seen some terrible things on the way.
I understand. visited Sheffield a short while ago. A few weeks passed, and they seem to be in much worse state, but I'm sure you saw on your way here, much of the land has been overran. The cities and towns of which were holding have fallen. Many have died, and the animates seem to be a much larger issue than ever.
Indeed, and even with the population numbers on the decline, they will eventually boom, and when we will need to reclaim the land.
Indeed. Indeed we do. She sort of considers something for a moment.
Disease and infection spreads in overpopulated areas far more rapidly than in sparser, more rural areas.
Yes, and we've been seeing such issues ourselves, so we've got some interesting research on such things. But we are looking into a solution to our problem. In fact, that is what this is partly about. This building in particular is more about genetics and biochemistry, depending on where you go in the department. We have been looking into some rather interesting methods of course, delivering it. But the research that you have brought us today will be a big step towards at least being able to have more civilized locations. Please, if you would pass it over, I would love to give it a look over, check that it's not damaged.
Of course.
Thank you, she says, and if you do pass it over, she takes it over to
yeah,
her
she'll.
side.
I guess she'll like signal for Jacqueline to pass it over. She doesn't physically have it.
You wouldn't, of course, do it. Jacqueline takes it out, places the canister on the table, and slides it over, and she kind of smiles and takes a look over it and quickly checks there's no bumps or scratches. And mostly it's fine. It's a little bit scratched up, but the big metal canister is still unharmed. You managed to actually keep it safe this entire way. And she smiles as she looks at it and goes, "Oh, this will... Thank you so much, all of you. You're all brilliant."
Tell me, what you remind me of a Lady Blackthorn. The Red Fawn, I know.
Oh, easy mistake. Yes, no, the Red Fawn family. Yes, of course. No, I am related, if that's what you mean.
Yes.
My sister still lives in London.
Yes, me and your sister get on quite nicely.
Oh, you do? I'm surprised. She's quite psychotic.
Well, you know, there is beauty in madness, some say.
Well, I mean...
It was my understanding that the Lady Redthorn was an only child.
Mostly.
Oh, my apologies.
She seems a little awkward on the subject, but then kind of... It's fine. I am not the official child of the late lady. She was known to travel. And I am
I quite
a
understand.
result of those travels.
I have an adopted brother.
Oh,
We
brilliant.
have a very unconventional family.
Yes, well, we do too, unfortunately, but there is only me and, of course, my sister remaining back in London, whom I haven't seen in many years. We have some communication.
I regret to inform you, I believe she has grown only more psychotic.
Well, that explains the messages. She says. And nods.
Messages?
Oh, yes, some communications have passed my way, and, of course, over to Lady Valerie, as they're meant to, but I take a peek on my way there.
Valerie's the woman in charge?
Valerie... Vivian. Some Vivian have been pushed over there. She is Valerie. She's Valerie Redthorn. And, yeah.
So she's in contact with Vivian?
Seems to be, yes. And she kind of goes, yes, some messages came through, actually. But it seems that everything's fine, so I don't see any reasons to be concerned.
Tell me, what interest does this experiment have to do with the fine benefactor?
Very little. The research is our own. But Miss Vivian seems to be very concerned with making sure the animate threat is also dealt with. She seems to not like it at all. She also is very concerned with our own survival and has been making sure to aid us in building certain things and, of course, in
Most
funding.
philanthropists have very little interest in the specific projects, only
Yes.
their outcomes.
Exactly that, Lady Faye, exactly that. She doesn't really care about what we're doing particularly. She more cares about the broad sweeps.
Yes, I suppose it would. Less competition.
Yes. Anyway, we should probably go and get this hooked up, so you can
I am
come along with me.
particularly interested in what is in the canister. I resisted my curiosity for the last week, but...
Oh, I imagine. It's... I apologize. They couldn't really tell you. It's secret. But it seems as though you've all got here, and of course, contracts of non-disclosure are signed. I'm happy to take you to show you.
I would like that very much.
Brilliant, she says and smiles. There will be a little caveat, of course. We can't have you bringing any weapons into the deeper lab, so there is a small stall on the outside.
Weapons? What heathens do you think we are?
She looks over at sort of the people with weapons strapped to them quite obviously compared to some of the more subtle ones that some people wear. It is a precaution. Our Death Watch will, of course, look you over, make sure you're not carrying anything, and then I can take you into the deeper labs and you can see all of our research.
Good. Of course. I only asked that I keep my cane with me. I have a slight hip problem.
Oh, I wouldn't wish to cause you harm. Of course you can keep your cane with you.
Thank you.
No, it's things like guns, knives, and swords, and things as dreadful as that. But please, do come, she says, and she stands up and sort of takes...
Perhaps
away.
Lilith and I might powder our noses.
Oh, of course, yes, use the facilities, she says, and she leaves the room.
Yes, it's
sort
been
of
an
gestures for the
awfully
rest of you to
long
follow.
journey.
Well, you get yourselves comfortable. I'm sure by the time that these fine gentlemen have gotten rid of their weapons and whatever other nasties they have on them, it'll be time for you to come through.
Yes,
We'll
of
wait
course.
for
The
you.
gentlemen must remove their weapons.
Yes.
Of course. She says and exits. With the rest, who kind of walk through.
Lilith, how many weapons do you have upon yourself right now?
2.
Including syringes?
Oh, those aren't weapons, I mean.
Oh, I have seen what you can do with a syringe.
Okay, wait, including drugs. I've got a lot of syringes. But those are medical supplies. I don't think that'd be considered weaponry. But
I have a strange gut feeling. Perhaps load a few of the syringes with something. A sleeping draft, perhaps.
Oh, let me look at what I have. Hold on. I also have this gun you lent me, and
I think we can leave that out. Although, it doesn't seem like we're about to be searched, but still.
Alucard gave me one as well. Let's see.
I imagine you just open your coat and it's just like guns down one side,
it's not
knives
opening
down
coat.
the other.
She lifts up her skirt. They definitely has garter holsters.
Oh my god.
There we go.
Oh,
Lilith's
Lilith.
bag of drugs. All right, but I have amphetamine, cocaine, nectar, heroin, laudanum, morphine, or refined opium. What would you like in a syringe?
Morphine, I think.
Morphine. Yeah, it's
Right.
probably going to be your best bet.
I don't think heroin will.
It won't have the
appropriate.
desired effect, I
It
believe,
might
yes.
help us. Might
And
not
same for
help us.
methamphetamines. I would much rather you did not apply those to anyone in this situation.
All right.
So yeah, you get yourself 2 syringes worth of essentially something...
Except
that can
perhaps
put people to sleep.
Alucard.
He might do well on
I
syringe.
would love to see a Hulk Alucard. That's Charlie, not Lady Faye.
Yeah, of course. So you
just
managed to
in
load
case.
up some sleeping drafts, essentially.
And Lilith knows how to smuggle some stuff.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Faye's gonna watch the dosage to make sure it's probably high enough to take out a Dampier. Because she
Oof.
knows.
So...
Oh, yeah, at this point, I think she'd tell Lady Faye, by the way, there's vampires here. I know it's going to sound crazy, but Alucard told me.
Werewolves in Oxford, vampires.
Yes,
in
he
York.
said there was just 2, but then he got this look on his face as we kept walking, and it's just gotten more and more intense, so I think there's
Is
definitely
that what
probably...
the squinting is? I thought it
Yes.
was just too bright
I
in
think
York.
that probably means there's a lot more than 2. He seemed pretty unconcerned, and then we kept walking, and we kept walking, and he kept walking, and he took off his respirator, and we kept walking, and it's just...
Poor Alucard. So
Yes.
much hunting, so little time.
Yes. Also, we're food, so I really don't think that we should
no.
also be
We're
aware.
not food, Lilith. We must be very exact and precise in that. We are not food.
Right. Vampires don't eat people.
Oh,
All right.
they probably do. They don't eat us.
They shouldn't eat us.
No,
Hopefully.
they don't eat us.
Right. Okay. Do you want a syringe of morphine, or should I just have?
Yes, I would quite like one of those.
Here's a
And I'll
syringe
strap
of
it.
morphine.
And she'll strap it like up under the sleeve of her dress.
Lilith will help connect it, like hide it, because Lilith is
Yeah, you're gonna hide
very,
these
very
things. I'll tell you what, then, could you
streetwise.
give me a shadow
Oh,
check then, please?
bandage. What a
with
good idea.
Do you
That
want
should
a
hold it in
shadow
place.
check or like a
shadow
streetwise
please.
check?
Or a street, whichever's highest for you.
Okay, they're basically the same, but I think streetwise is probably more applicable
Sure,
here, just because
sure.
it's.
Like either or, because
So
shadow's more you're
say-
hiding things, and streetwise means you know where people won't look. So
Yeah.
it's
Well, they're the same.
they are, yeah, exactly. So it works out.
15.
Yeah, so you managed to hide it on Lady Faye quite easily. You'll be able to retrieve
Yeah.
it. It will be, of course, a little bit awkward because you'll have to shift some things out of the way and then get it out.
Yes.
But it's still hidden, which is the point.
And I think
Yes.
Faye's good mood today is bolstered by the fact she gets to know what's in the canister
You do.
Mhm.
and that this is done. And
Yeah.
she's like,
Yes.
I'm going home tomorrow.
Yes, and if you need to hide anything, she's just giving you tips. If you hide something here, they won't look for it. If you do this, they try to play it off. You're like, oh no, but you just play it off.
Oh, I quite understand.
Mhm.
Thank you.
So you
Crabs.
powder your noses and hide your sleeping drugs, and you.
I
get
also
yourself
hide at least the
one of the
pistols.
pistols. You can get
You
the
know,
small
let me
one.
take a look at that measure again, and she's gonna up the dosage on the morphine in that syringe. She's like, I was ready for Dampier, not ready for vampire.
Vampire.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got some heavily loaded vampire trank, and of course,
Yeah,
Don't
and I've got a
worry,
gun
Lilith.
full of silver bullets.
yep.
No one will ever lay a hand on me.
And it's about the time there's a knock on the door.
Quite sure.
Are you quite done? What about ready for you?
Lilith will open the door,
Okay.
just finished, and closes a makeup compact and puts it in her bag.
We had to properly sterilize, you understand?
Of course, of course. I appreciate
long
that.
trip.
Thank you.
Been on the road so long.
She says, and she kind of agrees with it. And about that time, Alucard, meanwhile, whilst this was going on, you and Alexander, and of course Alec, were led across to an area where you were told to essentially take off your various weapons. And Alexander does. He takes a gun out from his pocket and sort of shows. He opens his jacket to show he's not got anything else on him. His knive's still obscured. And they pat him down slightly. But he seems to shift slightly as their hand brushes over an area, and they don't seem to locate the knives as he then closes it and gives him a nod. And then they come to you as one of the Death Watch officers, kind of gives you a look up and down and nods.
The vampire, I'm guessing.
You detect they are.
Mhm.
As you see them, they look a bit paler than they should be, and they sort of give you a bit of a smile. Their red lips sort of twisting slightly, and they go,
Because they know.
"Ah, Mr. Alucard, please, if you would remove your weapons."
Of course, and I'll take off my cutlass,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna try and hide my revolver.
Okay, no problem. So could you give me a shadow
Yeah,
check as he goes to
disarm
kind of
this weapon.
find out if he can find it, but let's see if you can sort of twist and hide things enough.
Yeah. Get to roll 20.
Alright, here we go.
19.
Wow, that's nice. So he kind of looks at you kind of smugly, like he knows you're going to be unarmed in here. And he pats you, and his hands completely miss the gun as he goes down and back up. Alright, Mr. Alucard, everything checks out. We'll keep this, of course, just in the room by the side here, locked up nice and safely for you. Please enjoy your visit.
I will, and don't worry, when I want to come get my weapon, I'll be seeing you personally.
He smiles slightly at that. I look forward to it, Mr. Alucard. I look forward to it. And then we'll gesture as he gestures for you to wait in the side room, waiting for the entry. And it's about that time that Lilith and Faye, you've exited, and you can see Alexander and Alucard have both been searched and are stood, and the weapons of them are all kind of spread on the side, but you notably do see that there is one gun missing and 2 knives missing.
I don't say anything about it.
No.
They lied!
Like, shouldn't there be 2 more knives and a gun here? No, I don't say that.
That would be the worst way to infiltrate here, isn't it?
That would be the
On
worst.
my count, there appears to... Never mind. Didn't actually say that,
Yeah,
but...
of course.
Oh, yeah.
So at which point they do look over the 2 of you, and the same gentleman kind of nods. I will have to search both of you. I apologise. Have you got anything to declare?
Yes, I declare you're not searching me.
That's a good declaration, Lady Faye. However, that is not doable.
Touch me, and someone will break your fingers.
He kind of blinks a bit.
Touch me and... oh.
She'll like it.
Very well.
Which possibly is worse than breaking your fingers.
Quite possibly. Regardless of that, if you would please put all of your weapons on the side, then we will just do a look over.
Oh, I don't have any.
Very well, he says, and
A
he
purse?
fails his check to actually determine that either of you are lying and not just being awkward. And he looks over you both. Very well. Lady Grey, if you would please, they are safe to enter. And she nods. Thank you so much. Please do follow me, she says, and she goes over to the side of it, and you see her
She kind of
sort
look over to Lady Fame as if I don't even know how to use a weapon in battle.
Heathens.
And the door opens, and you're revealed into an area again that looks to be a long hallway with many doors on the side all the way across. And she kind of gestures and leads you in. And you're taken to the back end and to the left-hand door, where she sort of takes out a key and unlocks the door and then knocks 3 times and then opens the door up and goes, "In here, please," she says, still has the sort of canister that she picks back up and then starts to walk in with. And if you do enter, you see what looks to be a table where there is a strangely pallid person on there. They seem to be bald. They are incredibly pale-skinned, not in the way that you would expect of a normal shade or tone. They are alabaster white. They look almost unnatural. And they blend in almost with the white surroundings of the tiles and the rest.
Do you mean like Lilith occasionally looks unnatural, or do you mean...
I mean like...
It's devoid of any blood.
Devoid of blood. It looks to be completely...
Exsanguinated.
Pale, basically. Almost like chalk white. It's that pale.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't look natural. However, aside from that, they look to be a remarkable specimen, very healthy look to them, and they seem to have many wires hooked up to them and various solutions that are going in. And she kind of walks in and gestures. Not a vampire, no.
Okay.
And kind of gestures in, come in. And she walks over to the back end.
A very well-maintained blood bag.
Yeah. And she walks over to the back end, and there seems to be this strange-looking machine with many different cogs and many different levers there, and there is a slot where it seems something can be placed. And she twists off the top of the thing and kind of pops it off, and you see some steam appear from it, some cold steam. And she reaches in with both hands and pulls out what looks to be a smaller version of a canister, but inside of it is a brain with many little hooked-up wires to it. Quite. It's good to see you again.
We've been carrying a brain this whole time?
And she slots it on and twists it in place before she kind of looks over and makes sure everything's okay. And then she grips the side and pulls. And as she does, cogs whir and steam hisses. And you hear a buzz of electricity run through it. And eventually, as it does, you see a small light appear at the bottom of the base of the jar where the brain is held. And she kind of looks at it and waits, and then smiles and lets out a relieved sigh. Oh, delightful. Oh, great. Yes, thank you so much. This will be brilliant for all research that we have. It won't take long. It'll work soon.
Small meta question. Where's Frank right now?
He's outside. He wasn't allowed in as he's a kid.
Okay.
So he's sort of sat outside with Francis Henry back in sort of the waiting room of the reception, just like...
I would like to think in his direction.
You do. And as you do, you don't hear a reply.
Frank, there is a brain. I need you to think about it. Think at it. At it really hard. Frank?
There's no reply still.
She doesn't say, oh, for fuck's sake, that was
No,
Charlie.
okay.
Faye doesn't know that phrase.
Oh, it's about to wait. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Sorry, my accent slipped.
Oh, not bad.
I love it. So, as this thing whirs and this electricity buzzes through, you eventually do see the thing on the table's eyes shoot open. And it sort of looks around for a moment, just its eyes, the rest of it not moving. And she looks over and goes, oh, brilliant, it's working. Good morning, Mr. Tesla. She says, and it looks over a bit confused. Oh, it doesn't seem to understand itself fully. Oh, bother. Give it time and it will work. Good morning, she says again, and it sort of speaks out. Good morning. Where am I? Oh, you're in York, sir, England. Right. It'll be a while, don't mind it. You might have some difficulties. Your body and throat is new. Right.
Lady Grey.
Yes, of course, she says in turn. Sorry, guests, yes. Hello, guests.
Am I to understand this is a synthetic?
It is. Synthetic life, birthed from an artificial womb.
And am I to understand I've been transporting Dr. Tesla's brain around
yes.
the country?
Yes, we got it imported from New York, quite bothersome, but they were fine with it. We had it travelled over. It's much more subtle and much easier. They had a few problems, so they had to extract the brain, unfortunately. Originally, we were just supposed to be trying to transfer his intellect into the artificial human so that it would be able to be continued on from this point forward. However, the problem was that he died along the way, and so we saw to it that we removed the brain, kept that alive, and brought it here.
Yes, there are physical processes involved in thought.
Which is why this is here.
He.
He, yes. Now, I guess, she says as she looks at it again. But
what about the soul?
the soul, Miss.
Oh, you
Fairy.
haven't read that work. I understand.
She says a little confused.
I have a
at the
colleague
idea.
in Sheffield who might have a book that is of interest to you.
Oh.
The Material of the Soul.
Oh,
Very
very
fascinating
interesting.
treatise.
I'd love to read it, but as far as this goes, it has none, I think, unless, of course, the soul is transferred by the brain. But as far as we see it, is all physical process. But yes, we have been trying to make this work for a while. There are some problems with it, of course. This
What
is the only
is it?
one of the ones we've managed to have work correctly.
That Dr. Tesla is bringing from New York.
Got
And
that.
she'll give a nod to Dr. Tesla.
He nods back, barely, like he's still getting used to his body. And
Lilith's just like, who?
and,
Lilith. Dr. Tesla is an incredible mind. Brilliant inventor, radical.
Old mind. Yes.
Terribly broke, I believe, the last time. That's, I knew
Broken
of him.
mind.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Broken finances.
Finances
Oh.
were difficult, he says from the table.
But still, when you try and change the world, it's a very expensive business.
Tis. I need much more time.
There are
to do this.
unreliable returns.
Indeed, there are.
Right.
It says from the table, and Lady Grey continues to look around and goes, "Well, this is amazing. This is a
So
breakthrough.
much science.
You're here to see the birth
I
of
have
something new."
something for the doctor.
Oh, very well. Yes, of course.
Oh, my lady's maid, if you please. And she'll look to the guy who was attending us, who was like, I'm going to search you. And she was like, no, you're not. And now she wants her lady's maid, and he will go and fetch her.
He will. The other one stays, but he leaves and goes to fetch her. And the other one kind of stands. He's still looking a bit. He looks a bit off. As he's just seen something.
Is he
come
off
to
like
life.
Lady Red Thorn? Okay, he's just
He looks
thrown
to
by
be
the
sort
strange
of like,
situation.
fuck, there's this weird unliving
Okay, cool. He's
thing
not like
that's been made.
brainwashed.
No, he just
like
looks
that
to
poor
be,
man.
if anything, mind blown as he stood there watching
Understandable.
this. And, still armed, but he's a bit like, all right then.
Faye looks like a child that's just walked into Disney World, having not known Disney World was a thing. This is just like incredible. Everything is beautiful and wonderful and slightly strange and scary. That's a really big Donald Duck.
Yeah.
But as Jacqueline comes in, she'll take the battery from her things and she'll present that specifically to Dr. Tesla. She'll walk straight past Valerie Gray and just be like, Dr. Tesla, what do you make of this?
He has a look at it and goes, remarkable. I would need time to study this. I feel a little dizzy. He says, he kind of looks at you.
Oh, head between the knees, and she'll like grab the synthetic's head and gently push.
Yeah, you do so, and it is very flexible as you do that. And he goes,
Because of all the
thank
wires
you.
and stuff, she doesn't want to like tug the wires too much.
Thank you. That is helping remarkably. Perhaps you should keep it with you, but bring it back later. I would love to have a look at it.
Yes, I have some research from Sheffield as well, which might prove very enlightening.
Oh, good. Yes, I am looking forward to not being so restricted by finances this time, he says, as you continue to kind of help him out. And
You don't look
Apparently
restricted
not
by
even-
much right now.
Valerie, for a
Indeed,
moment, does
Lilith.
flinch when you go to touch it, but kind of sees that you're helping and kind of sits back. This is brilliant and all, but of course we must leave you to rest, Dr. Tesla. As soon as you're feeling up to it, we will of course make sure to bring you clothes and food and whatever else you may need. And of course it's more for your fancy. You don't really need to eat, but we'll make sure to bring you something if you wish to taste the flavour once again.
You are artificially maintaining his body.
Of sorts, yes, in a way. They will have to have supplements and things as such. We have some ideas for these things, of course. The brain, of course, is needed to stay. The body can be a test of sorts. Right now, this is the first one that has worked. We have tried many times to create artificial life, but sometimes it fails, other times it's twisted, other times it is far too dangerous. But this specimen is perfect. As you can
May
see.
want to increase oxygenation a little bit.
Perhaps that's a good idea, she says, and she kind of goes over and takes some notes in a notebook that's by the side of the machine. I've been considering such things. Initially, it was difficult to produce life in such a way, and of course to rapidly grow it within a lab environment, but it is working, as you can see, and it is beautiful.
The human machine.
The human machine.
An accomplishment indeed.
She nods. But still, I am ever so happy that you have all been able to witness this birthing of new life. Finally, she says, and kind of looks over at all of you.
So, what is the end goal?
Oh, well, of course, with our doctor here restored to his full faculties, we will be able to begin research into more things, weapons, defenses against the animates, things as such. His research into galvanics was brilliant, and so we would love to see more of that further. So that
Power, less
Power.
science.
Yes.
It's my
Anyway.
understanding that the animates should be fought with chemistry and biology
We
and
have parts of that.
genetics.
She nods. We have a chemistry lab on here that is currently seeing in a way to sever the bodies of the dead, and of course the
It's Miss Brown's
reaction
work. No?
Miss Brown's work, yes.
Yes.
One of the many Miss Brown's works, yes. Which one is it that brought you here again?
It was Lady Cynthia Brown.
Oh, Cynthia. Yes, Cynthia's lovely. Yes, she works in the chemistry labs and mainly on the animate studies. Of course, you can go and
Such a
have a
dear.
look if you want before you leave. I have no problem with such a thing. But yes, no, we are thinking of more biological ways of dealing with them. For example, the heavy loss of people here is felt more than anything else. Our Death Watch here are absolutely brilliant people, but they, of course, do die quite frequently.
Could you not use your synthetic technology to reverse the animation process? If you cannot cure
Yes.
it.
Quite the thought, yes. Initially, we have been creating things in order to combat them so that we don't have to worry about the manpower of such. If we can
That
make
is very
them,
short-sighted.
it's long-sighted. Imagine it. If we
The
can...
technology is long-sighted, its application is short-sighted.
Perhaps, but if we can produce things, then we have many avenues to explore.
Yes. If someone and Adaka kind of walks over to the brain, like some of the area.
Yeah,
and,
you do, and you see the machine still kicking up a fuss.
And
Still doing its process, it seems.
just says, yes, it's almost as if someone who was dying could escape their mortal bonds into a new form.
Yes, they could. Yes, exactly. Imagine the greatest minds of these times and even times before, if we could restore them, if we could bring them back, we could advance quicker than any before. We could cure these issues. If somebody's on
true
the edge of a
immortal
breakthrough and they
life.
die, yeah, exactly that, she says and looks at you, very excited about the entire prospect. Immortality for those who need it, of course. For those who
Or
can.
you could replace a disabled body.
Yes, that is a thought, but there are other ways to do that. We've been looking into alternative means of healing and medicine to be able to restore lost limbs and such, as of course in the reclamation there was much loss of eyes, of hands, and particularly of legs was a big one that has been many people have missed.
There have been
Unfortunately.
great advances in prosthetics in London.
There have, yes, I've heard of such, but imagine if you could have a new leg, a new hand, a new eye.
It is intriguing.
Indeed.
My apologies, Alucard. You have questions.
Yes, by all means, ask away. The doctor will need some time to recover, of course, so I'm happy to talk.
No, please continue. You two. You have more of an understanding than this than I do.
Oh.
I was merely here as a helpful guide. Lady Faye and yourself are the real geniuses here. Don't mind me. And as I said, I'm gonna keep walking around. And GM,
Yes, Alucard.
I'm gonna sabotage this shit.
All right, you want to sabotage the machine? Okay. All right.
The
Okay.
Tesla, you can't destroy my favorite scientist.
He's mine too, but I don't want vampires. Thinking, I'm done being a vampire now. Another body. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay, no
I'm
problem.
very okay with vampires thinking, I'm done being a vampire, let's stop eating people.
Let's have a mortal coil.
So you kind of go to try and sabotage this machine that's transferring the brain of Nikola Tesla into the body. And could you please give me a very quick... Have you got anything like engineering? Have you got anything like galvanics?
Got strength.
I gotta get buff, yo. I don't.
Okay, well, just give me a base roll then, please, of 2d10s, and basically just let me know if what you get. Like, I'll see if you can kind of understand where's good to sabotage. Because you're trying to make this irreparable, I'm guessing.
Yeah, but like I'm trying to do it stealthy as well.
Okay, well, yeah, give me that check first to see if you can figure out where, and then we'll do a shadow check to see if you manage to do it in time.
With an int.
With an int, yes, you can have your intelligence.
Boop. 16.
All right, on a 16, yeah, kind of look at it, and it is incredibly complicated, this piece of machinery, but you generally think, you know what? What breaks most machinery? Sticking something in it where it shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
So you can give it a go. You can shove something there if you want. Have you got like a dagger or anything on you, or what are you wanting to put in there? You can see like pistons working and things inside, and the gears
Get like
turning.
a pen or a pencil or something. Just
Probably one of my silver bullets.
Oh, nice. So you get the silver bullets out, which are quite big. They're not exactly small things.
Yeah,
They're like small
very
shells, essentially.
conductive as well.
Yeah, exactly. And you take one, and you go to slide it. Could you give me a very quick shadow check to see if you can do this subtly enough?
22.
Okay, no problem. So you subtly, silently slip the bullet inside the machine. And it doesn't take long until, as you're stood there, Lady Faye, sort of helping the doctor and talking to the lady, that you begin to hear a horrible grinding noise from the machine behind. And immediately as that kicks in, Miss Grey seems to look incredibly panicked and looks over and goes, "Oh, no, what's happening?" She says, she runs over and tries to figure out what's happening with the machine. And Lady Faye, could you give me a very quick medicine check, please?
yes, I will. I was gonna say Faye is gonna like hurry to help because this isn't good if this thing breaks.
While she's run over to the machine, you're by the doctor.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on the doctor. 18.
On an 18. So you can tell as you see suddenly underneath the skin, as sort of this machine starts to fail, you see electricity jolting underneath the skin of the creature. You see light up areas, and you determine that if he continues to be hooked up to this, he will explode very quickly.
That is
However,
far too much power, and it appears to be jumping all of the circuitry.
It's heavily regulated. There must be something inside that's not meant to be there.
It is short-circuiting. How do we disconnect him?
Just, oh God. She says she's kind of fiddling with the machines quickly, and she goes,
I will pull all of the wires if you don't tell me which one.
"The main ones.
Right.
Back of the skull," she says as you begin.
She'll
Could you
do
give me
that one
another-
first, save the brain.
Okay, so you're trying to save the brain. Could you give me a very quick, either galvanics or medicine, highest of the two?
Medicine.
Let's see
Galvanics
if
is
you
only
can
2 at the
save
moment.
this.
20.
Wow, okay, so you managed to figure out which ones to
This is my
unhook.
specialty. I can
It is your
medical people.
specialty. You could medical people, and you kind of backwards engineer the idea of both the inventions you've seen, of the electricity you've seen work on this adventure, of the various mechanical workings, and of course of your base medicine knowledge. And you pull out what you need to, and you disconnect him from the machine. He does look a bit shocked for a moment, but then the machine behind you seems to start smoking.
Okay, Dr. Tesla, lay down, please. Thank you. And she'll slowly like lower him
So
backwards.
he's lowered and looks a bit dizzy, but is lowered backwards. And you look over him. He seems to be fine. The damage seems to be minimal, but he seems a bit confused still. It's all very confusing.
Lilith, your bag, please.
Certainly.
Just appears out of a pocket.
Yeah.
Well, she
you had
has
a
her purse.
Bag. She says, she looks over and then continues to work on the machine and goes,
Yes, my purse.
It's
And
all
Faye's
fine."
gonna inject the guy with a stimulant, just so he doesn't
Okay.
crash.
So you...
We have amphetamine, cocaine, nectar, heroin, laudanum, morphine, and refined opium.
Amphetamine.
Okay, so you
There
take
you are.
that, you inject, and he continues to work, and he kind of looks
That
around
dosage
again.
off.
Thank you, Lady Faye. This was a near disaster, but
Dr. Tesla, you will feel your heart racing for a period of time. I need you to remain as calm as you can. Think of the earth gently rumbling. Your machine rocking the building backwards and forwards in perfect tessellation and oscillation.
This is brilliant images in my mind.
Out.
And he's calmed by this, and you keep his heart from
Tesla,
stopping.
not Tesla, that's my cat, and this dude. Lilith is making notes of what she thinks that this is calming the guy down. She's like, oh, so this is sexy scientist talk, and she's making notes. So she can attempt to woo him later.
So you take
Let me
notes
tell
and
you about
sexy
my
sound.
oscillation.
Yeah.
So, as you consider taking notes that you can't take because you can't write
The
all
mental notes, because I
notes
can't
in your
write.
brain box as you take those notes. Alucard, you see that the brain in the jar, given the energy that has been kicked up by this, given it is completely short-circuited and given it's all gone bad, the brain has been boiled. It is fried. It is ruined.
Doesn't matter. He's still in your body. It's a success.
Maybe. And the doctor kind of looks at it and goes, oh, dreadful, dreadful. We'll have to make sure to fix it before the next one. Oh. She kind of looks it over and goes, I'll have to do this later. It's got far too much damage. It's dangerous.
Then the next one?
Oh, yes, of course. We have other brilliant minds. But we will need to reconstruct this entire thing. This will take months, perhaps maybe shorter, but at least we've mostly got it to work. But the process wasn't complete, she says, as she looks over the dials and the various paper that's been spewed out. She takes it out and looks at it. Hopefully we got what we needed. We only got half.
Well, it seems to be a resounding success, and
Thank you, Alucard. You're so sweet. I'm sorry that this went wrong.
it went right. What I can see.
Oh, mostly right, yes. But we have to hope, as I said, the half we've got is the right half. But the correct half, to be exact.
Oh, I read that paper on hemispheres of the brain, the left
Yes.
and the right.
Yes,
Very
I don't want to confuse the findings of that with, my own.
We must be very specific in our terminology.
You must. Still, thank you for being here. You may wish to. I have a mess to clean. And about that time, is Jacqueline arrives, and of course the other guard arrives back, and they stand with you, and they look in and see the mess, and the one that doesn't like you, Alucard, does look at you, as if saying, is this you?
I just turn my back to him.
Yeah. And Jacqueline is let in, and she goes, Lady Faye, are you okay? Is everything alright?
Yes, everything appears to be quite all right.
This is good to hear.
Dr. Tesla will require some serious care, though.
She looks a bit confused for a moment.
Oh, Jacqueline, let me introduce you.
Oh.
Dr. Tesla, this is my assistant, Jacqueline. Jacqueline, this is Dr. Tesla.
Yes, yeah, Doctor? I have heard of scientists being pale, but this is...
He is synthetic, Jacqueline.
Synthetic? She says a bit confused.
They have manufactured a body for him, and she'll say it in English first and then translate it into French.
The French bit she understands more and goes, oh. And seems to be more than anything else.
Jacqueline, maybe sit down a moment. You look a little pale.
Yes. She sits down and is, as a non-scientific mind and a religious person, being told that is quite a big thing. She sort of weighs that over, and her mind is a bit blown by this as she runs the ideas through her head. But at this point, Miss Grey sort of looks over and nods again, and goes over to Nikolai and has a look over him as well. And he seems fine. Welcome back, Doctor. We'll get you equipped very soon for your research. Yes, of course, my research. Yes.
Well, it's a shame. Perhaps if I'm still here in the evening and you're free, we can have a celebratory drink, and I'm going to try and flirt with her.
That would be... Give me the quick seduction check.
Is
And
she
yes,
compatible?
she's compatible.
Baby.
These are the big questions.
17.
She seems quite taken by it and goes, oh. Oh, yes. Yes, of course. Yes, I'd love a drink, Mr. Alucard. She says, a bit surprised, taken aback that anybody's asking her this, very much in work mode, until you've kind of approached. But, of course, it's going to be late night. I hope a later time doesn't bother you.
No, I don't mind staying up late.
That's good. I wouldn't wish to impede on your sleep. Sleep is very important.
It is. Until then.
Until then, she says and nods. I will have to deal with this, but thank you everybody for coming. We will have to ask you to leave, of course. We have much to do, but you may tour the rest of the vicinity of the facility if you wish. As well, like I said, do not speak of anything you find here. And of course, there are sections you're not allowed in. Apologies, but they are top secret. Do not speak of anything you've seen here also, but thank you so much for bringing the brain here, and you are all heroes in your own right. You are all brilliant. You are perhaps some of the saviors of the world to come. With this discovery and the rest of our findings, London should benefit greatly.
I would like to continue to monitor Dr. Tesla's condition.
Very well. You can do so for the next few days, perhaps. We have our own scientists, though. They will do such, but you can come and have a look over yourself if you wish.
She's an excellent doctor.
I can tell she saved his life. So you're welcome in my facility for the next few days at the very least.
Thank you, Lady Grey.
Not a problem at all. Please follow me to the dining room. We'll go there. She says, and she begins to kind of gesture to get you all out, and the Death Watch
It's
do
lovely
corral
meeting you,
and
Dr.
begin to
Tesla.
And you. He says, and he looks at you. And he continues to look at you and nods. And you. As you're led out. And you're led back into the more sort of the waiting room that you were in before, as Lady Grey sort of looks over you all and goes, thank you very much for visiting, and again, I thank you with everything I have for your service, and please have a lovely day. She gestures for you to exit the building.
You as well. Thank you for your hospitality.
Not a problem. I believe your friend should have been here. She looks over to the receptionist and goes, where are the rest of them? And he says, yes, they were escorted out. They'd caused quite a commotion, apparently. So they have been escorted out of the building. They should just be outside.
A commotion? What do you mean?
The boy seemed disturbed and was having problems, and Francis Henry, the big man, and
is disturbing, I understand.
Yes, of course, and unfortunately they were escorted out for their safety, to get a breath of, well, not fresh air, but you know what I mean. The Death Watch saw to it that they weren't endangering the labs. I'm sure they're just outside in the gates.
And Faye's gonna, pick up the pace to go and find out where Frank is.
And as you all exit the building,
Yeah.
it's about that time that you meet a scene that is very different than perhaps what you were expecting. As Alucard, you see there is an entire unit of Death Watch outside as you've closed the door, each armed, and at least 5 of them point their guns towards you. And at that point, one of the ones at the head of the group walks out and towards the center, so at a safe distance as he looks at you, and he takes off his helmet and holds it underneath his arm, respirator not on, and he looks over towards you, Alucard, and then the rest of your group gathered here, and simply speaks, Alucard, I have heard about your arrival. Our Lady wishes to see you. Resist and you will have your friends put down. Whilst I know simple guns are not a threat to you, they are to the rest of you. So I suggest that you all behave.
I am missing some people already.
You're not missing them, they're already taken.
I do not know where they are.
You
By
don't need to.
definition, they are missing.
He says and kind of looks at you. But they are safely within our grasp. I assure you that they are unharmed, mostly. The
Who
big
is this
hairy
lady
one
you
needed some
speak
damage.
of?
Oh, that would be Our Lady Vienne, the person who runs this city.
Good. Let's have an audience.
I give a glance to Alucard and see how he's doing.
He's like seething. He's like his mouth's open a bit. And you kind of see like fangs, kind of like.
As you're looking, Alucard, could you give me a very quick history check, please, and then give me a control check, please, depending on how hard this is.
What was it again? Concentration. Wait.
Concentration, please.
Concentration and will.
Oh, okay. Well, my red train just kicked me out, so give me a second.
And a history check.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Boop. Boop. History. Oh, I'm gonna reroll that. That was bad.
That's completely understandable.
That was fine, I guess.
Better.
That was alright.
I got a 1. Like, jeez.
Okay, no problem.
It's 14.
So as you look over him, you immediately have a flash of recognition as you remember this man in particular. He is not like the rest of these Death Watch soldiers, because the first time you saw him, he wasn't a Death Watch soldier. He was the first mate of the ship that Vivian used to ride on back when they killed your love, Alejandro, yourself. And you remember the absolute slaughter that this man caused on your ship. You remember your crew being killed, down to a man. You remember the rest of them, the others that were with them, the humans that were with them. But this man in particular you remember. His name is Rudolph Combs, and he has plagued you for many years. And before that, he plagued your entire continent. He was one of the people who was most active in the issues that you had to deal with at the time. He was one of the most notorious slavers of that entire time. And he has been a plague upon not only you, but your people, your family, and now seemingly humanity. And with all that build-up, what was your will check, please?
Let me do that now. Will is it free?
Plus concentration.
Is it plus concentration?
I'll
Yeah.
let you have it. Will be an incredibly difficult roll, I'll tell you that much. As far as vampire hunts go,
24.
okay, you have control of yourself. You don't lash out immediately and cause your friends to get shot down.
I walk forward towards him.
He accepts it. He watches you and smiles a bit. Not too close, Alucard. I know that you're at least partly good at what you do.
It's been a while,
It has.
Rudolph.
Hasn't it?
I see you are still a coward and still have those protecting you.
I mean, if you wish for me to kill you alone, I can do such a thing, but I did not wish to fight out here. I thought if I arrived alone, you would do something foolish, like try and fight me, Alucard. Whereas if I bring these men, and we bring all of you along, then my lady can speak to those who she wishes and reacquaint with a lost flame.
So sure on yourself.
Is there any reason not to be?
Clearly. I would have met her if I got the message, but killed you in the process if you met me alone. This merely shows your weakness.
Oh, you're so brave, aren't you? And so foolish still. Do you not remember the last time we met? To put it frankly, Alucard, you're a few hundred years behind me.
It's gonna show the way.
But he has all the experience he needs.
Damn right he does. I mean, no he doesn't. I've got to be a villain right now.
But you're not down with the kids.
But you're not hip and cool
You're
like
not
me.
hip. Get current, bro.
I invoke the rite of
Old
vampiric dance
news.
off. Okay, but on a serious note, he nods and looks at the rest of you. I apologize to the rest of you for my rudeness. It is a necessity with someone as prolific as Alucard here. Let us go, he says, and begins to lead you through the streets. And the retinue around you are very armed, and they keep a very strict formation and keep an eye on all of you at all times. And the three of you, plus Alexander, are led through the streets along with Jacqueline.
I'd like to make note of the route they take and see if I, because I would have paid attention when how we came in, because she's trying
Yeah.
to learn the city as best she can,
So
just in case.
You kind of keep an eye out, and you watch, and they take you through the grounds and out a side entrance from the labs, which is still very protected. But the Death Watch there, again, you get that same feeling of them being vampires. Again, Alucard. All of these men that are with you are vampires, and they take you through and around to the edge near the western section, as all of you are led there slowly. And you see a large, beautifully maintained and reconstructed manor with darkened windows on it. And you see brilliant curtains sort of falling on the bits that aren't. And you see these two massive statues of lions on the front. And there's two plaques underneath each. On the left-hand lion, there is a plaque of Vivian's old ship, the Triumphant. And on the right hand is one that you recognize, Alucard, as your own.
Me no like.
And you're taken through beautiful gardens that are really strangely beautiful and maintained. The soil here seems to have been made very fertile, and whilst there's no plants throughout the majority of York or the land around, here they seem to grow beautifully. There are flowers in the garden, which is a rare sight. There are beautifully trimmed hedges, and as you walk to the front door, the door is opened, and a very dour-looking gentleman steps forth and bows deeply. He seems to be human, Alucard. Welcome, guests. Please do enter, and we shall see to it that you find refreshment and meet Our Lady as soon as possible, he says as he sits back up. My name is Geoffrey. I'm the butler of this household, and I am here to make sure that your stay is as comfortable as possible. Please, he says and gestures.
Geoffrey, would you be very kind and do me a favor?
Yes, of course.
I need to know the whereabouts of my ward.
Ah, yes, the young man, is it?
Yes, young Frank.
Very well. We've taken him in, of course. He was delivered by them, and I've put him in a side room where he may play with some toys for a while. He has building blocks and a few other things, some books in there to keep him entertained. I assure you, Lady Faye Dunmire, that he
And my dog,
is
I
safe.
hope.
Oh, of course, yes. A delightful animal, isn't he? Beautiful, beautiful. Not seen one so healthy in years. You must take very good care of him.
Hunter is of the finest pedigree.
Oh, I can tell. Please do enter,
Thank you.
he says as he gestures and lets you all go in. And as you go, the Death Watch outside, the mass of them, do sort of back off and don't come in. Only 3 enter, one of which is, of course, our good old Randolph Combs, and the other 2 who both are wearing their full armor still. And he walks in and sort of behind all of you and gestures for you to enter. Go on, get in. No need to cause a scene. More of a scene.
I was planning to come here anyway. The scene
Good.
is yours.
Then I'll savor it. You know where to go.
I'll take a walk.
Okay, so you take a walk in, and as you do, you step into a very opulent and beautiful hallway with a double winding staircase that goes up towards a grand painting of a beautiful woman sat and rendered at about... The painting itself is about 15 foot tall and wide. It is massive, and there are many portraits on the walls as you're sort of looking around of various different dressed versions of the same lady in many different backdrops of different ages and centuries. And there's one that has a cat on its shoulder that has a very strange looking humanoid face. But aside from that, which is the strangest of them, yet still beautiful in its own way, the doors open at the top, and the lady in all of the portraits, beautiful with long flowing red hair and a eloquent dress, steps out and smiles, and her eyes hover over each of you and finally go to Alucard as she looks at you and smiles brightly. It's been so long, Alucard. I've missed you, dear. And the rest of you, welcome. I'm so sorry for your rude introduction. My name is Lady Vivian. You may call me V if you wish. Welcome to my lovely, quaint home. And she begins to walk down slowly, though no sound is made by any of her footsteps. And immediately she does, the two Death Watch look away and don't look at her directly. And even your other companion here currently does look down a bit, but still keeps his eyes on the periphery of you, Alucard. As you know that, of course, Rudolph, loyal though he is, isn't allowed to look fully upon her.
I think I just kind of say, "Ah, there's the Rudolph I remember."
He doesn't
Coward
say
and
anything
weak.
back this time. Oh, please do be polite. He can't say anything back unless I tell him to. If you wish to trash talk him, you can, but it is rather boring when it's one-sided, isn't it?
Why don't you give your dog permission to talk then?
Very well.
Entertain all of us.
He kind of looks over and goes, talk, and then he kind of nods. My lady. And what would you wish to say, Alucard?
I walk away from him.
You walk away and he looks pissed at you. He gives you the complete killer gaze, and she looks at him again and just goes, and then he kind of looks down again. Please do follow me. Don't do anything foolish. It would be very bad for all of you.
I do appreciate your hospitality, but it was quite the interruption on my day.
Oh, I'm so sorry that I inconvenienced you. I forget it. I have forever, so it's very difficult to remember such mortal qualms. What did I interrupt?
Rather important scientific work.
Oh, you've been to my labs, I patron. Yes, they're delightful, aren't they? Brilliant work, all of them. Oh, they ever so quick to work, aren't they, mortals?
It's what happens when time can run out.
Oh, it can, I know. I know. Dreadful, really, but it does make them work quicker, and I appreciate that. Still. Oh, by the way, I've met your others. They are delightful, aren't they? The young boys, very interesting. The other ones, they're quite easy to keep quiet. That one's not really affected.
No.
Very polite, though.
Frank is a fine ward.
Oh, he is. And let me just ask quickly, do any of you have good tasting?
Yes.
I thought so. No. And her eyes linger on you a little too long. Lady Faye, you are of quite good pedigree, aren't you?
So the family tree informs me.
Oh, it does. Oh, please, don't stand back with these peasants. Come forward. You can walk with me.
Thank you.
No, thank you, she says, and gestures for you to come to the side. And begins to walk quite politely up the stairs and to the back end. As Lilith and Alucard and Alexander, the three of you are stood at the back still, sort of a bit behind, as Lady Faye is invited to walk next to Vivienne.
I'm gonna try and reach out with my mind again to Frank.
This time you find connection.
What are you doing?
Oh, that surprised me, sorry. Didn't expect it. I'm playing with blocks. They have some coloured ones, and I'm lining them up to be a certain thing. I can make a picture.
Why?
Right? Because they're fun. Shouldn't I?
No.
Oh, I'll stop playing then. Alright.
Soon, Frank,
Right.
I'm gonna need you to do what you did on the train.
Oh.
I'm gonna need you to save us again.
You mean George?
Yes.
Could you give me a very quick charm check? Because this is a big ask again.
It is.
So...
Let's see here. Chum. Any kind of
you can have a +2 because Frank trusts you.
Yeah. Corrupting them young minds.
Basically, yeah. Yeah, driving is corruption.
20.
Alright, a 20. So that is far more than enough to convince Frank of such a thing. And he goes quiet for a while before you hear a resounding hit back in your head again of, just tell me when.
I will.
And then it goes quiet. As he can see, he does not play with blocks anymore.
No.
But meanwhile, as you're following and you see that you are left by the others currently, there seems to be more further in, as you do see, rather than dressed in Deathwatch gear, there are very finely dressed men all around the area who are all sort of stood to attention, almost like statues on display, as sort of they're all dressed in various manners. As she walks you through the hallway, and you see these people as you walk through, Lady Faye, and they seem to be a bit scared, but they put on a smile or a not smile depending on their pose as Lady Vivian walks back through. One of them does stumble slightly though, and she looks over to her left slightly. Make sure it doesn't happen again, dear. And they kind of nod. Yes, Lady Vivian. And they go back to posing again. Good. And she takes you through the hallway and opens up a big door and then gestures politely to you, Lady Faye. Please, Lady Faye, our guest of honor, please do enter.
Thank you.
She kind of looks at you. She seems to be assessing you quite a bit. And your lack of reaction seems to be... Well, give me a quick wit check, see if you notice what it seems to be doing.
Oh, okay. Wit is 3. Wasn't ready for a roll. 10. Not
Okay.
a great roll for me.
So, you can at least tell this much. She looks at you, the strange look, almost hungrily. And you also notice that all of your sort of not reacting, all of your being a very strong and dignified noble, seems to further that look. As she seems to be very fondly looking upon you as you enter the room. And the room itself is a large, what looks to be almost a parlor of sorts. There is a harp at the side, there is a small piano, there is a violin set on the side, there's a big table in the center of it, which is a circular one, which has the picture of the map of the world on it, from what you can tell.
Tell me, Lady Vivian, do we have a mutual acquaintance? You seem to look at me rather familiarly. Lily.
Probably quite a few, yes. I know many people from London, many people in history. But, no, you in particular, you seem very interesting. Something good about you. Promise in you.
I was praised this morning for my work in galvanics and genetics.
Oh, you're working... Oh, well, you're very impressive, aren't you? She says as she looks at you.
We all need hobbies.
Hobbies. Oh. Yes, we do, you're right, she says and kind of gestures. Please do take a seat. You can take whichever chair you like.
Looking around the room, like, which is the nicest chair?
There is a very nice red chair with sort of a velvet cover on it.
That one.
That one. You take that one, and she looks over and seems momentarily to show a slight sign of, like, before she's like, nods. Very well. You definitely know what you want.
Oh.
Then.
Would you like your chair?
No, heavens, no. You're the esteemed guest of honor. Please take the chair, she says. And
Very
she sits
kind.
just to your left. And she gestures to the rest of you at that point. You may enter now. Come on, chop chop.
Alucard walks in.
I like to walk in behind Alucard and in front of
Yeah.
Alexander. Like, I got these guys on either side.
And you take your seats, do you?
No.
No, you stand. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Alexander stands as well. She goes, you may be seated.
What is it you want?
For you to take a seat, Alucard. Isn't that quite clear? You've been away for so long. I've missed you.
The last time I saw you,
Mm.
these manners
Mm.
were not so ever done.
Oh, heavens, no, I killed you. That's obviously not very polite. And don't get me wrong, I still wish to be less polite, she says and gives you a wink. But...
Alucard, should I pardon myself?
No, it's fine. You stay. He will probably appreciate getting it out himself. I'm sure it's been eating away at him over these years. It'd be good for him to have friends nearby.
Alucard.
It's best you stay where I can see you.
Oh, is there something I don't know about?
Well, seeing as how some of our group have already gone,
They're
it's best.
safe.
That's relative.
It is.
I'll stand.
All right then. You stand. The other two can sit there if you wish.
I'll sit in the seat closest to Alucard and Pat next to me for Mr. Alexander.
Alexander stays stood for a moment and looks towards you, Alucard, as if he gives you a look of, should I stay stood?
I nudge him to like sit down.
Reluctantly, he sits.
Good. Is there like a table in the room?
Yes, a big one. It's a big round table, and it seems to have a map of the world on it.
Is there like a smaller one, like a side table?
There is. There's like a small table where you can sit and sort of like a chair and like a little table where you can sit and play the harp.
I'm gonna like go over to like the side where it's like across the room and just drag it across the ground, like the floor.
It grinds across.
Just
as you kind of
staring
twitches
at her.
slightly. She looks at you still very plainly, but you do see a slight twitch of her eye. That's all you get out of her.
I'm gonna take out the skull and put it there. Of Alejandro.
Oh, Alejandro, I'm glad you could join us.
We are all here, it seems.
We are. Aren't we just? But, whilst your friends here are not as expected, Alucard, we have been in need of a catch-up. It's been how long?
345 years.
Oh, right, yes, that's quite a while ago, isn't it? Well, see, the thing is, I've heard the most curious of things, Alucard, about you through my many little birds out there. They say you've turned to hunting us. Is that true?
Mostly you.
Mostly me. Well, you haven't got me yet, so I'm assuming that means you've not done any of them.
I've done quite a few.
Curious. So, you wanted to see me. You've been looking. You've been hunting. You've been killing.
And you've been knowing where I've been coming. How do you know that?
Oh, that's my secret. Let's just say that I have somebody closer to you than you think.
What is it you want? You clearly have the upper hand. This is merely a cat and mouse game, and I don't wish to play. You should know me by now.
I do know you, and that's entirely why I wish to ask you to play. You were here on business, weren't you? Is that business concluded?
No.
Oh, dreadful. And what more is there to do?
Fill a report. Back in London.
Oh, I don't think that will be quite necessary. She says, and she takes out a very delicately folded letter and hands it over to you, Lady Faye. Here you go, Lady Faye. I think you should see this.
Correspondence.
Correspondence.
Faye'll open it up.
And as you do, you see the eloquently written script of Lady Redthorn, who seems to have written in to Vivian. And the letter is polite, but does speak of that there have been certain things that have come to their attention that mean that the lot of you who are coming here should perhaps not make it back, aside from one exception of a Lady Faye Dunmire, who should be delivered discreetly.
Very entertaining, our mutual acquaintance, isn't she?
Oh, she is. She's a curious sort. I mean, I've visited her a few times, but, I quite like you. So, I wouldn't want to see you harmed. So how about this? Your business is quite concluded. You only need to report back to your queen, and only a few of you need to do that. The rest of you could play a game. I have plans, and there is much to happen here. Much that would, of course, also interest yourself, Alucard. So I offer you this. I won't tell Lady Redthorn the business is concluded. I won't respond. You, Lady Faye, may do as you wish, of course, and visit whenever you please. Please do. And the others, at least some of them, may stay. Much is about to happen in York.
You're the one controlling the animates?
No. And I wish to know what is.
You're worried about your food supply?
Yes. The cattle, they need to be tended. And if they keep dying to those things, it's hardly good. We need food, Alucard. Just as they do.
Well, for a crusty old sea bitch.
Oof. Harsh words, she says, and kind of looks at you, but there is a glint of just that she wants to tear your head off in there at the back.
You know, this pretense. I almost missed the old Lady Red. At least then I knew who I was dealing with.
Oh, Alucard, you're so dumb. You know me. You've been obsessed with me for 335 years. Lady Redthorn hasn't been around that long. Besides, this offers you a chance, does it not? You play this game, and I'll give you something you want.
What's that?
1, for your friends to live. 2, my lapdog. I'll give you a chance to go at him without anybody else around.
I'm gonna, think.
I have a better offer for you.
Oh.
I find games rather diverting.
Fair. Games are fun.
And
Roll the hobby.
whilst I'm only in York for a number of more days,
Yes.
I could probably still manage a diversion. If we win the game, I take over the research, the York facility. I
That's an
have some interesting
yeah.
ideas for their work, which includes the restoration of something that I believe Alucard is very much interested in.
Oh.
But that is my business and Alucard's business.
She thinks.
You would work with these people?
A counter-offer. The game will take a rather long time to complete, and Alucard will play. But Lady Faye, you are of a brilliant mind from what you say, and you are ever so convincing, so I wouldn't wish to play games with you. You wish to be involved in the research, do you?
Yes.
Perhaps as a co-head of research with our Lady Grey, who currently runs. Equal in power, equal of share, able to take the research where you wish and discuss it in more detail, privy to all information in there. Able to do your project. Would you wish for it?
Mr. Alexander also has business with Lady Redthorn.
He nods. It's not of much interest to me, but we can see what we can do. As I said, I won't be reporting back to Lady Redthorn. She won't hear from me.
It would be a waste of postage.
It would. Or I can tell her you died. That's also viable, but then London would be in an uproar. I'd rather just not. She says that she has a thing. But how about this? For but a one small thing from you, I could give you all of that you wish, a small price, of course. See, I have tastes, very delicate tastes, and You, my dear, are quite remarkable. A phial of your blood a month. 1 phial of your blood a month. That's all I ask.
My blood is flawed.
Oh, no, it isn't. It is unique. But if you're speaking of the sickness I smell upon you, then the research at the lab may be most interesting to you.
I will agree on one condition.
Speak it and we will see.
You speak frankly the nature of this game.
Oh, the nature of the game is to fuck with Alucard.
I'm gonna tell Frank to go.
Okay, and about that time is when there is suddenly a large crashing noise from deeper in, and she kind of
Lilith
looks over.
jumps about a foot out of her skin because it's so tense, and she's
It
like,
is,
I
and
just
there is
don't
a
wanna
big
be-
crashing noise at the other side. And she goes, oh, I wonder what that is. Seems
Funny.
you've accepted our game then, Alucard.
You've already brought my people in. That's all I needed.
Very well, she says, and then still sits there and just looks at you.
Mr. Alexander, it appears that York is much like Sheffield.
That it seems, he says, and stands for a moment and kind of looks over to Lady V and just kind of goes, Lady. And then we'll look over to the rest of you. And that commotion continues until you see the door begin to open. But what are you doing?
Look at Alucard and use my expressive eyes to tell him that I have something I could stab this woman with that might slow her down. But I need him to basically give me permission to do that. She won't do it unless he nods.
He'll like nod, yeah.
Okay, you nod.
Then she'll just stab her.
Okay, could you give me a very quick check for that then, please? So
Yeah.
you'll be needing to make me, if you got melee. If not,
No.
have you got unarmed?
No?
Okay, so just make me a base check with your coordination, please.
You need a syringe gun.
Can I use
No.
medicine?
Unfortunately not. It's an attack.
So yeah, you just got a crit on both dice.
Alright. So
it might not be a
coordination,
crit,
right?
Luckily, and yeah, coordination, please. As she is technically unaware of the attack right now, so this is like the best time to do
19.
it. So you do hit with a 19, as she isn't expecting that. As you jab
And I
her.
want to get her like in the neck because that's going to go like straight
Nice.
in.
So you
Use
get
that
her in the
medical
neck.
knowledge.
And you begin to inject her with
Vampires aren't
the
used to having the
serum.
pain in the neck.
Okay, and could you just roll me a quick d10, please?
Sure. Something for your condition, Lady Vivian. D10. One.
Awful. Oh no.
Can I push this D10?
I'll tell you what. Do you want to do a? Usually you can't re-roll this, but I'll allow you. Do you want to re-roll
You want a
it?
devil's bargain?
I can give you a devil's bargain. All right. Okay, push your corruption up by 1.
Alright,
Yeah.
5.
Hey.
Okay. So,
I
given
don't
you've
think
taken the devil's
3
bargain and you've
physical
pushed up-
corruption is a good thing, but
okay.
it'll be fine.
Given you've taken 1 corruption, you don't need to roll. You will maximize that dice. As if I give you a deal, then you can maximize. If you use a second chance, you can just re-roll.
Oh, okay, cool.
I will
Yeah, I'll
give
take
you
the
maximum.
corruption.
Cool. I'll give you corruption. You take maximum.
Faye
on
is
that
now
dice.
super fucking weak,
She is. Yeah.
so she might be about to die.
So it's almost as you do that you feel your heart sort of thud a bit and you feel weaker.
Do you need some amphetamine?
Suddenly, as you push that plunger in, and the drugs kind of take effect as you see her
Morphine.
kind of go. You, what? She kind of looks a bit out of it, and evidently is a little bit slowed by this as she looks at you.
I look over to Alucard and I say, morphine.
And about that time, as you say, morphine, is when the door slams open and you see the good old gentleman Rudolph Combs walk through, his stern coat, his sword drawn, and a gun in the other hand as he steps through looking a bit disheveled. And he looks over to the rest of you, and then you, Alucard, immediately as he sees the plunger in his lady's neck from the syringe. And at that point, I'd like you all to roll me initiative, please. So could you roll me a 2d10 plus your... just your coordination, please. Sorry,
Okay.
your prowess.
Oh. Okay.
I'm just quickly opening the game rules to check what
It's completely
free
understandable.
physical
Yeah.
does. And coordination.
Yeah.
Yes, please. It's wit and coordination that you roll. It's your prowess. So.
I'm just trying to roll that in Twitch chat. Yay me.
20.
You rolled
get a
in Twitch
21.
chat. Twitch decides.
Twitch plays vampire.
Twitch plays.
I was hoping it was
vampire.
Frank, and it's not.
Unfortunately. I'm just going to quickly look for my vampire stats as...
As we did the dum dum, and now we have to fight the vampire in her house.
It's okay, we've got this psycho.
We've got the psychic.
Yeah, it's
You
coming
have,
to
yes,
us.
You have. You've got a lot
Um,
going on here,
Lindy or
so-
Pro, do you have access to the handbook? Because mine isn't anywhere to be found.
What is it you
Yeah.
need to find out?
I need to look up the level 3
Corruption.
physical corruption.
Okay, so I will make sure to send
Thank
that
you.
to you. However, yes, there we go. So-
Only because it might actually have a significant impact. So
Yeah.
Of course.
What's your illness
it's
called?
illness.
Oh, it's just illness, okay.
Yeah,
It's illness level 3.
level 3.
So, as Frank is seemingly creating a massive diversion in another place of the house, you haven't got about 10 other vampires in this room with
That's
you right
great.
now. So that's pretty good. But you do have Vivian, and you do have... you also have our good old Rudolph here as well. So the
I
two of
regret
them are
leaving
in.
my brother guarding the train.
So, let's give them their roles.
Or wherever we said we left him.
Yeah, your brother is basically...
You
he's
just look
not
a
here
lot
at the
more
moment, so-
ill. There's no physical drawbacks if you're at rank 3.
Yeah.
You just you show the signs of it, and you're having a hard time with medicine checks to.
A rank
it out.
3? Okay. Yeah.
So 11 and 12. So it looks like, from what I can tell, that it's going to be Lilith, followed by our good old Alucard, followed by, we'll give it to the vampire, unfortunately, as they are a bit quicker naturally, and which will be Rudolph, followed by yourself, and finally Vivian. So Vivian's last. The vampires go either side of course, yourself, and our good old Alexander will also roll.
Good old
As
Alistair.
he's going about just after Alucard. So let us continue as you hear this massive explosion from somewhere else, and suddenly everything is getting a lot more intense around here. So Lilith, the backhand of doom. You're in this large circular room. There's a big table in the middle.
Yes.
There's various objects all around the area of the parlor. Vivian is sat behind the table, looking slightly over towards Lady Faye, who's got the syringe in her neck and has plunged it in, as she looks slightly taken off guard by that. And you've got Alucard, Alexander, and then behind there, you've got Rudolph, who's walked in.
So he's
Thank you
not
for
at
the
all
cheer,
close to me.
Dumbledore. And who's getting a crit? You can tell me in the Twitch chat, but continue.
How far is Mr. Randolph? Is he on the other side of the room as me?
Rudolph is on the same side of the room as you and is only about a good 15 foot behind you.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay. Do I try to just stick him too with drugs? That's the question. I didn't think I would be first. I was really hoping I wouldn't be.
Drug warfare.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've just realised I'm not speaking. There isn't a strict initiative order in this, so if
Okay.
you need to sort of push back, you can. You can swap with Alucard. Like,
She wants to stop at Alucard.
Cool, so
Let him
Alucard,
take
you're
the lead
okay.
on this. Yeah.
it's the initiative is mainly to know kind of generally where you're going, but basically it's just the allies and then vampire, Fey vampire. So go.
Is there windows in this room?
Many, yeah. There's a few. There's a few on there. They're all blacked out.
And maybe GTFOing with Lilith
Oh God. Okay.
outside.
That would be smart.
So I want to run over to her, and good effing me with the full. I still have the numbing powder Alexander used,
You do.
You do.
and I'm gonna just smash it in her face. To,
Oof.
Me?
No,
My face? Oh,
no,
okay.
to
Oh my god, that's
this is where I betray everyone.
This was that would have been the biggest twist in the century, wouldn't it? It's like, I want to go after Alucard. Alucard, your turn. I'm out. Okay, cool.
Great.
So you run over, you go for the attack. She's aware this time, so she's going to be harder to hit, but she is also slowed because of the drugs that have been put in the system. So do you want to give me that attack then, please? It'll just be a melee or unarmed, the highest of the two for you, given it's just a bag of stuff. So.
Yeah, so let's see here. Unarmed, melee, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, cool. Do I add my... I never remember. Do I have my vitality to it with the attack?
So the attack is just your skill. The damage, if you're using a weapon, is your vitality, but you're using a drug, so you're just basically...
Unless you have a
passing it
stunt
in
that
the
lets you
face.
do something otherwise.
But no, you just roll your melee skill or your unarmed skill. So yeah, so you run over, you kind of hop over the table, you go for the hit. What'd you get?
Oh, I do have these skills. Sorry, I was reading that.
Cool.
So yeah, I run over and I go and put the powder in her face, and I go and use my vitality, which is +1, +1, so 6. 19.
Nice. So you hit directly into her face with this sort of thing that's going to try and numb her. And as you do, it explodes over her, and she kind of lets out a again as suddenly she feels even more slowed than before, and she bares her fangs to you as you go over the table. Anything else?
Yeah, so I believe I have 3 because of my prowess. Can I grab her and start like running towards the window?
Yeah, you can certainly try. You can grab and then go to run. You probably have to obviously resist her turn, but you can grab her certainly. As you've charged over, you've smashed this sort of numbing powder on them, and then you've grabbed, which you can give me a melee attack to hit. So give me an unarmed check to grapple her.
Nice, yeah, I got my hardness track, which lets me use my vitality.
Yeah, you're more grabbing than hitting this time. So.
Yep. 15.
So, unfortunately on a 15 this time, as you go for the grab, supernaturally quick still, though slightly off-put, she shifts out of the way just in time and looks at you with those eyes still.
Can I re-roll that?
Yeah, you can use a second chance if you wish. You have equal second chances up to your corruption. So
yeah, which is 2, I believe.
Yeah, it certainly is.
Worse.
Do you want to use another?
I do, yes.
Alright, give me another second chance.
This is the time. 21.
That is way better, as due to the slowing effect, you grab her and begin to run, at which point it is around to Lilith again. Do you want to do anything?
Yeah.
I have 3 actions, right? Because of my prowess?
Yeah, you do. So you've basically gone over, you've smashed drugs, grabbed her, and you're running over. So that's
I was
kind
gonna
of what
say, because I wanted to dash, yeah, cool.
Yeah, so the running is an action, basically.
Cool.
As anything's counted as an action, basically, usually. So it's like, I move, I do this. It's 2 actions. So anyway, so you, Lilith, meanwhile, it is your turn. You can see Alucard supernaturally quick just dart over, smash this thing in the face, grabs her, and begins to run. You've got a vampire behind you who's very powerful. You've got Alucard apparently handling business, but it looks like something might be about to happen. And you've got Alexander next to you.
Yes. So, I imagine Alucard wants this lady dead, but he probably wants to have something to do with it himself. Lilith's going to quickly reach under her skirts, pull out her pistol full of silver bullets, and kind of shakily turn towards the vampire who's just entered the room.
Okay.
And I'm going to use my crit to shoot him in the face with a silver
You
bullet.
can use your crit
I want to
for that,
headshot him with a silver bullet, please.
All right, yeah. So
Headshot, silver bullet.
So you turn around, you get ready, you fire off, you crit. So thanks to Humbledaw's crit, you immediately hit with a crit 20. He stands there. He isn't even concerned with you. He's looking at Alucard. You're a meaningless meatbag. And you shoot, and it hits him directly in the jaw. And can you give me a very quick damage check on that, please? So
because that's what I've heard. I'm sure he gave a long spiel when I sat there for like 2 hours and he talked about how to kill vampires. So
could you give me 2d10s plus the damage of your gun? You will be getting away with some of their resistances to this sort of stuff because you're using silver bullets.
Silver bullets.
Also, you are doing a headshot, which does give you an additional, I think, +7 to the damage. So let me just
okay,
double-check
and
that.
how much damage does this gun do? I'm sorry, I don't.
What kind of a gun is it? Is it just a light gun?
It's a heavy.
Is it
actually.
from my gun?
Okay,
Yeah,
it's your
'cause
gun. What hand's your gun?
Yeah, seven
Um,
damage.
Yeah, the huge gun does 7 damage
All
So I
right.
get to add.
and has
How
5
much?
ammo.
So this is how much you're adding to this shot. As you're hitting the head or a vital location, that is +5 to damage. And
Okay.
you've also got a +7. So it's a lot of damage.
So plus 12.
No amount of flex seal will solve this. And
Excellent. And
Plus okay,
plus
plus 12.
12.
Let's see how you do this.
Come on.
26. And it's a silver bullet.
Nice. you kill him one shot.
I'm the one-hit wonder.
So you are destined to be a member of the Noctuary, it seems. And you remember the talk that you had for those 3 hours in that church, as you were sat there talking to him for hours and hours and hours, and he was like, you know, what you gotta do, you gotta hit him in the head. And he was telling you all these things, and he was like, use silver bullets on him, you'll pop him. And he tells you all these things.
I do try to go for the head, but usually it's
Yeah.
the back of my hand.
And there's like an hour and a half of that you phased out of your brain, but then it comes back and you remember that you were taught many things, such as how to properly hold a gun in that time, and you do it.
I did
You pull it
put
off.
points. I did between
did.
sessions put a point into firearms because I have
Good.
that now.
So
So
you've been taught, and you
because she got
remember-
that talk.
You remember that montage, and you remember, you know, you gotta level it out, take aim, breathe, fire, and you did all of it perfectly in the moment in panic. But you were steely cold for a moment, and you shoot, and the bullet strikes him, and his head just explodes, and you see it stood there with his sword still for a moment before he just collides with the ground.
I think
For now,
that's
he's dead.
one of her actions. She's going to kind of Alexander, be a dear and help Alucard, would you?
He looks at you for a moment, and there's like a mixture of like shock and like a bit of as he looks at you in a new light.
I only have 5 days left. It's working. He's seen me backhand a werewolf, and now I've just one-shotted a vampire. It's great.
And he nods
All
and
right.
goes, very well, he says, and draws his knives. And at which point, if that's your turn,
I have one more action.
Sure.
Combat reference.
Hide.
Hiding might be
Cover.
Yeah, can I try to like
Stiff drink.
yeah. You're going to try and
Stay,
find
like
cover?
lay low. Yeah, cover, because
Okay.
I don't know how many. I mean, I know Frank's causing a distraction, but I don't want to try to shoot this lady with the silver bullet while Alucard's right next to her.
Yeah,
so.
that's a very risky play.
So I'll try to
okay.
get cover, so if someone else does come in, I can try to.
All right, so you dive behind a sofa that you turn over as you do, and you've got some cover from the door back behind where you were. And it's about that time Alexander takes his knives and sort of takes out both the silvered blades and then
Can you need me to
charges.
make a stealth check to?
No, you're just behind cover, so you're fine. But at which point he will run over towards you, Alucard. He runs quickly across. He gives you a polite nod, Lady Faye, and then he will jump over and attempt to basically drive the dagger into the shoulder and grab her to try and keep her held, whilst the two of you try and drag her towards the window. But he'll use the rest of his actions on that particular effort. But the attack will go in, and he's very good with his knives. So he'll use a second chance on that, and he'll use another one, and I actually hit that time. That's good. Luckily, he's quite corrupted. So you see Alexander jumps over, lands the blow in the shoulder, and will deal. So he has his 2d10s plus his dagger plus his. Okay. Unfortunately, not too much damage, but it does land in the shoulder, digs in deep, and she kind of hisses out for a moment, those fangs baring again, and you feel the strength in her, even though faded, is quite harsh, as it will go to the dead vampire's turn, who's dead, and then it goes to Lady Faye. Lady Faye.
Get it, Lady Faye.
You've seen quite the scene happen. You jabbed Vivian with the drugs. She began to turn to get you as soon as Alucard was already over the table at that point and smashed her in the face with some sort of powder that has spread everywhere in the air. and then has begun to drag her away. And you see Alexander jump across the table, run, jump, and stab, begin to grab her as well as they're in a tussle. And you see Lilith turn around, immediately headshot a vampire to death, and then walk and then hide behind a sofa. It's a strange sight.
With utmost decorum, Faye is going to walk across the room to the sideboard and very slowly push it towards the door. She doesn't want guests at this very private occasion. Just very slowly.
Sure, could you give me a quick vitality, please, then, as you're trying to push things about in your weakened state? As you look ill.
Base 2, here we go.
Let's give it a go. Come on.
It's heavy.
It's very heavy as you begin to try and
I
move it.
will push it and take the roll.
Second chance? Yep, go ahead. You have 3 of these now, so...
14.
Okay, this time you do manage to begin to push it over. Take you a little longer. You can probably spend the rest of your turn doing it, but if you do, you'll push it through.
Yeah, she'll just, all of her time, just very... Lots of decorum. I'm going to close this door now.
And you close the door and push it
And she'll just be
closed.
like, Frank, are you alright?
You don't hear any
she's-
return thought,
yeah.
but you do hear multiple massive crashing
She
explosions.
doesn't know that he's gone George,
No,
so
you don't,
she's
exactly,
just checking
you
on
don't.
her ward downstairs.
You unfortunately don't hear any reply, but what you do hear is more explosions, and you also hear some gunshots.
Somebody Francis Henry's gotten involved now.
You do
You
hear
hear gunshots.
Yeah, you hear multiple gunshots.
Oh,
And
maybe that covered mine.
yeah, maybe. And it's after that will come to Vivian's turn. Now she's weakened, she's drugged, she's numbed. So you're doing well, and you've got Alexander
She's
with
stabbed, weakened, drugged, and numbed.
you. But she's going to attempt to still try and fight back as she tries to throw you, Alucard, first off and out the window. Which is going to be her first attempt. Now she will be at a negative to this, so she's not going to have her full vitality in melee. So you're good, but she'll be reduced by half. However, a 19, I believe, would still hit you, Alucard. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Free parry?
the no like resisting.
You can. It is a melee attack, so you can try and like parry this if you've got free parry, or if you want to sacrifice one of next turn's actions for a parry.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, so you try and parry. Could you give me a melee check against that, please? And if you beat it, you parry.
21.
You beat it. So she tries to grab you, and the hand whips out and goes to get you. And as it does, you duck out of the way and just parry the blow with your hand, the flat of your palm, sort of batting away the hand. And she hisses and turns and goes to grab Alexander by basically the front of him and throw him. So she's going to go for that now.
Not today.
That is a hit, but she doesn't do too much damage as she grabs Alexander by the shirt, and he's surprised by the speed of this as he is then pushed and thrown back towards the window, but the strength isn't enough to break it as he collides with it and just kind of falls to the ground. Is like, "Ugh, bloody hell," he says, and at that point, her third action, she does have 3, she'll then turn to you, Alucard, and will go for your face as she goes to try and claw out your eyes.
Not the moneymaker.
Not the moneymaker. Okay. So, look at you, there's 3 off of that. She's not got 6, and that she has 3 at the minute because she's slowed. So that is still a 17. Does a 17 hit you?
How do I know?
It
if
is
he
your
hits me
11 plus your coordination.
again? Oh, let me have a look. Sorry.
I imagine it is, but like, I'm just
Yeah,
checking.
it is, yeah.
Okay, no problem. Would you like to parry again and sacrifice another action, or would you like to let it hit this time?
I'll parry. And actually, no, it's 20, so no, I'll take it.
Okay, no problem. So this is going to hit you directly in the body. Sorry, in the face. So this is going to have some extra damage to it, unfortunately. As she hits you for an 18 in the face, which will be an incapacitating wound. So, Alucard,
Doesn't it get reduced by my armor, right?
have you got face armor?
Oh, no, I took off my
Exactly. Unfortunately, she's going for the soft bit. So she hits you and will cause an incapacitating wound. So can you reduce your vitality by 1 current? So she's taken 1 wound off of you. And
Okay.
also, I will quickly find wound table. However, it will unfortunately hit you very hard. I'm sorry to say.
That's good, huh?
Let's get to our injury tables.
Now prepare the methamphetamines, Lilith.
Yes. How about cocaine?
Perhaps.
Like
Maybe
cocaine?
both.
Both. Just a little.
Just double line it straight in
You'll feel great for about an hour.
for about an hour, and then you'll
Yeah,
die.
about an hour, then you'll die. So it's it's one of those things. So we're gonna have to roll on a complications to the head. So could you roll me 2d10s, please? Let's see what happens when this happens.
12.
12. So a 12 will be concussed.
Oh.
You are hit and concussed by the attack, which will 176. Bum, 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 bum. Concussed. Blows to the head in some forms of attack, such as explosions, can concuss a character. While a concussed character is conscious and not a helpless victim, you're considered unaware, and the damage rating for range attacks targeting them are reduced to 11. At the start of each turn, a concussed character may make a will roll DR 11. If you succeed, you regain your senses and is no longer concussed. However, I believe, am I right in thinking that you are considered to be undead?
I am, yes.
So you have no effect. You can't make an undead person concussed. So
Sweet.
you're fine.
Yeah.
As you're hitting the head and you feel that mortal side of you kind of go, oh shit, and start to like reel back, but then the vampire side of you hits in and keeps you conscious as she looks at you and hisses in your face. At which point you will go back around to the Lilith Alucard show.
Yeah, let Alucard go first again. He seems. They're very much in their faces right now.
That's true. Thank you. I think she's hissing. Alucard's hissing as well, and his fangs are just like coming out. He's just gone very vampiric, and I think because we're at the window, I'm just gonna. And thankfully, Alex was able to weaken it for me.
Oh, he has weakened it, yeah.
With his body.
With his entire being.
I'm just gonna grab her and jump out with her.
Oh, nice. Okay, so give me that check then, please. So just give me a very quick. We'll just call it
Stick.
melee. Let's call it melee.
Okay. Ooh, I'm gonna.
Oh,
How many rerolls have I done so far?
as many as your corruption, I think you used them both.
I think you used them.
I'm gonna get my corruption even more. Oh,
Okay,
yeah. I'm gonna
so
get my
I'll allow
corruption.
you to do the usual thing of if you want to push further, you can take a devil's deal. It means that basically you can essentially spend your devil's own luck, gain a corruption, and get a crit. But it means if you're gonna die, you can't devil's own luck. So,
I mean,
do you want to take that part?
yeah, I'm just gonna
Alright.
do that. Yeah,
Okay.
the right time to do it.
So you grab them and tell me how you dive out this window. How do you pull both of you out this window of this multiple-story building into the gardens outside?
So I think as she is like hissing in my face, and she's probably saying all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah, there's
I'm going
vileness
to-
being spat into your ear.
How dare you? You know who I am? In that kind of Spanish in the song that she sang, I'm going to say, this is what you've always wanted, a reunion. There's not in a way you thought it would pan out. And I'll jump out.
And you, as you say that, the glass shatters. The entire frame of the window is blown outside. You dive through the sky, and the actually less dark York does aid you as the light begins to burn her skin as she gets outside, and you see sizzling smoke coming off of her. You've still got more action. She isn't dead, but she is out in the sun and therefore weakened and is starting to die.
Yeah, I think I take out my handy dandy little stake.
Yeah.
And I go to stake her in the heart.
Yes, I imagine you've like dived out, she tumbled away slightly. She looks up at you, you draw the stake out. She looks at you sharply and gets ready to fight as you go forward. Could you give me your attack then with your stake, please? That is a melee, and I believe you get some bonuses to staking people in the heart. So
Did you say it's actually sunny out today?
it is.
Yeah.
So guess
So
what
You
you
also
get?
get
Alucard?
sunshine.
I finally get my extra sunshine bonus, which is a +2.
That's right. For the finale, you get your Sunny D.
Oh, and it is strong.
Do you know what this is?
You can fight
I'm solar
clearly now.
powered.
The clouds are
Damn
gone.
it.
Okay. So you go for the swipe, you
13.
go for the stab. Unfortunately, she kind of like ducks out the way of it. You've still got another action because you get 3
Yeah,
actions, so you can go for
still.
another stabby stab.
I am gonna go for that. 15. good thing.
So you go for another one, and yet again, it barely misses as you go for the stab. You do catch her, but just the corner of her as you leave a nasty gash on her arm, and she twists out of the way and she goes, "You think you're the first one to try and stake me, Daywalker?"
So the Devil Barkins and the corruption, are they two different things, or are they the same things?
The Devil's Own Look is the ability to avoid death completely, and I have to just find you a way out. I give you a Devil's Bargain, which is a made-up rule that I made up, so I'm bad, which is where I'll give you a crit if you spend that and gain a corruption.
Okay, cool. So, yeah.
However, in this situation, if you want to keep tanking corruption for this, I'll allow it.
Yeah.
All right. However, I'll give you the extra reroll you get rather than the crit on this one, because I gave you a crit. So you get a reroll, but you push
Super
for corruption, which is the usual way that second chances work. So
21.
that's a good reroll, as you will hit bang on in the heart. So you'll get that bonus damage as she says that, and what do you say in return?
No, but I'm sure I'll be the last, and the one you'll remember for a brief moment.
Okay, sweet. And at which point could you give me 2d10s plus your vitality plus the damage of a stake, and on top of that you are hitting the heart, which is a vital location, so you'll gain a +5 to damage.
I don't actually have stats for a stake. I know I get them from my vampiric stuff. Okay.
So I think it's just like a dagger. It's just like +1. So it's 1 plus you actually get your vitality +5. So you get a lot of damage here. You're hitting like a gun right now.
Yeah. Which I also have a gun.
Yeah.
Okay, so 12. 21.
Fuck. That's a kill. So, tell me how this pans out. Tell me how this plays out as you finally have the woman you've been searching for all these years in front of you. The one that killed Alejandro, your love. The one that gave you all these years of pain of being this creature.
So I think as I once again, this is all happening like super fast, like supernatural fast, and like I got the stake and she's holding me back, and it's like slowly going towards her, and I can feel her weakening, and I just say, "Tell me, why did you do it?"
And as you're doing that, she looks at you, and she knows that you're gonna win at this point. And she spits in your face and says, "Because you were in the wrong place at the right time. You're meaningless."
You have no meaning, and I'm gonna stab her in the heart.
Okay, and you do, and as you do, she tenses up, and the smoke begins to build, and the flesh begins to burn as she falls to the ground on fire, alighting in the sunlight as the golden rays come out through the clouds above you, almost as if signifying this moment for you, and you're bathed in that light. The light that is, of course, your second home now. And you see her burn in front of you. And the rest of you...
Yeah, I crawl over to the window, because it's like we go at the same time, and I look up, and I'm like, that was a short game.
And the rest of you, where you are, you hear, of course, Lady Faye at this point, you hear the thudding on the door, and then you hear a strange noise, and everything goes quiet.
We should go.
And the thudding stops. And Alexander, pulls himself up at this point.
Oh, here, let me help you up. I'll help him up.
Covered
I'm
in
right
glass
next to the window.
and broken wood, and it's just oof.
Easy, Mr. Cobain.
I didn't quite expect to be thrown with one hand today. And then looks outside, and you can see
unexpected
the
things
burning
happen
fall.
all the time.
Thank you, Lilith. You were impressive. Thank you.
Faye's gonna go and look out the window and see Alucard victorious down below.
You do.
Then she's gonna turn back to the door.
Okay.
And then hear that eerie quiet.
Everything drops.
Is there
to
a
silence.
vampire corpse that's sizzling on the floor? Because maybe his maker's dead?
There is one, at least, inside that is sizzling. The other one that you shot the
kill
head
him.
off of is just
Yeah.
literally
Oh.
a headless corpse. He's not in the sun. But he's dead. He's very dead now, however.
Okay, good.
Frank and Hunter and Jacqueline and everyone, they're downstairs.
Yes. Perhaps we
Help
should
me with the sideboard. And Faye's gonna go over and push that.
Oh no! I know.
Suddenly really intense. I don't want to move this anymore. I'm just gonna
Just
stay here
kidding.
and
Let's
do
just
anything.
sit here and wait. This
a nice cup of tea. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, this music has put me off.
Yeah, so you're gonna go and move that sideboard out
Frank's
the way.
Oh, Lilith's going to try to reach out for Frank. Be like, can you tell us where you are, Frank? And if she doesn't hear back from Frank, she'll reach out for George.
You don't hear anything back from Frank, but as you reach out for George...
George?
Lilith, hi.
Hello
It's all
there,
fine
George.
now, everything's quiet.
Oh, I heard it was quiet.
It
Are you
is.
well?
I'm great, thank you.
Oh, good.
And you?
Never been better.
I'm just finishing up here.
All right. Would you like us to come meet up with you, or would you like to meet up with us? I'm sure you can find us. Is Francis Henry with you?
He was.
Ah. And Hunter?
He is.
When you're done playing with your things, why don't you come up to meet us in the study?
I think I'm fine here.
All right.
Lilith, you've just pulled some very strange faces. Are you alright?
I just like to imagine Lilith going...
Oh, yes. I made contact with Frank.
Oh, he didn't answer me. How is he?
Busy. But well, he's fine. I'm fairly certain Francis Henry's dead.
Dead.
Yes.
Suddenly,
As now-
much more motivated to move this sideboard.
But Hunter's fine and Frank is fine. He's a little bit George right now.
You move.
George.
A little bit George, yes. I think we should let him do his thing for a moment, perhaps.
Mr. Corvain, how hurt are you? And Fail.
Honestly,
Actually,
mostly
looking at more
just...
seriously.
My pride is mostly wounded, but the rest of
Oh,
me
you
is
were
fine.
magnificent in there. I saw that stab you did in the shoulders.
Thank you.
Lovely.
I appreciate that, but yes, we probably have to deal with this. Alucard will likely be busy.
Yes.
Well then.
A chorus of
Yes.
It's like that is an ominous. And yeah, Alexander nods at you both. Well, let's make it down there then, he says, and you help shift the rest of the board out of the way and
Yes.
we'll open the door.
All right, yeah. I'll just brush some more broken glass off of him.
Yeah, he appreciates it and kind of nods at you gratefully and slides the knives away as he begins to walk. And as you leave, you do see quite a mess out there. As you see, there are multiple, the humanoid people who were there before are notably missing, but there are stains across the walls. And there are
A lot of red
bodies-
wallpaper.
Yes, and there are bodies
Yes.
of the other vampires that were around, the Death Watch vampires that were around, who seem to have been left, but you see notably there are 4 outside and each of them has no head.
damn. Should have gotten that agreement in writing.
Should have. You know, I'm sure you could probably forge something. I'm sure she's got some handwriting samples here. You could just write something up.
Ooh, something to consider. Thank you, Lilith.
Yes. I thought you wouldn't have thought of that one on your own, so.
And as you say that, the bodies rise and stand.
Ooh.
Oh, were they meant to do that?
But almost not like people, but almost like a doll that has been lifted up.
Oh.
Like they sort of just
Hello, George. Lilith will just say, hello, George.
And their hands point towards the other way, towards the stairs, in unison.
Oh.
Thank you. Such a dear.
Jim question.
Yeah.
Do I know if once you kill like a head vampire, do your vampires die or do they still alive?
Depending on how close they are to the bloodline, depends. If they're very close, sometimes they're fully fledged enough to not worry about it, but if they're lower or newer, then yeah, they will just die. So.
Okay.
There might be some death watch throughout the city just keeling over. The scientists like, we're going to perform this careful incision.
All the doctors brown.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
All the research they could have done.
Yeah, exactly. But no, so that's the thing. But
Alucard, the great destroyer of research.
Yeah, his final words weren't what he said. It was "fuck science," and then he stabbed her. So
No progress!
you begin to make your way through the house, and throughout you see quite the mess. Many people with their heads missing, pulled off. You sometimes see exposed spine out the back that has been pulled horribly, and you do see most
Like
of them
Sub-Zero
point
just
towards
reaches
it.
in and pulls out the spine.
Basically, yeah, it's like Sub-Zero, and you see a lot of points towards the dining room, it seems.
Let's go to the dining room.
Nice pizza. I'm fucking hungry, so I feel that. And speaking of hunger, let's talk about these headless bodies. And yeah, so you make your. It's a very inappropriate type of
Yum.
pizza, but yeah, it's all good. No, you make your way into the dining room.
Perfect type of pizza.
And in there, you do see Francis Henry is unconscious, but there.
Oh, unconscious but not dead.
You don't see Jacqueline. And
Forgot to ask about
Hunter
it.
is indeed there. He's kind of barking at the former Frank, who seems to be quite bloodied. You see a couple of wounds on him from gunshots, and you see he's stood at the other side of the dining table that is just littered with heads that he seems to be piling up in different ways with movements of his fingers as they kind of
Hello,
land
George.
in different ways in a tower.
Hello, George.
Hello, he says as he
Can I take a
continues to
look at
pile
your
up.
injuries?
They're fine. They're
No,
not
George,
mine,
I think
they're
I should have a
Frank's.
look at them. I quite like Frank,
I don't.
but if he dies, then you do too. That would ruin all of your games.
Could you give me a persuasion check?
Yes, I sure will.
So just give me a charm, please. And you can have a +1 as you are convincing.
4, okay. I'm scared. Please.
Yeah, it's only a +4.
13?
Okay. And he looks at you. I don't care about that, he says, and continues to just pile on the heads. And you see the final one get put on, and you see the head of Jacqueline as he puts it on top. Do you like it? I worked on it really hard.
I can
Frank
see
didn't
that.
like it. No, he was crying. But that doesn't matter. I did what he asked.
What, who asked, George?
Alucard.
Oh,
You've done a very thorough job of it.
I have.
I'm sure he'd be very proud.
Yeah. Do you want to join them?
No, not right now, I think. We've got a lot of things, a lot of fun things we could do.
Could you give me a quick charm check for me, please?
Yes, I can. I still have.
from one kind of building blocks to another. Thanks, Alucard. Best babysitter ever.
You took my building blocks. I'll make more.
Sorry,
Right,
I'm a
for me,
defiler.
Corruption is
Okay.
corrupting the innocent peoples.
Yes, and he's too young to be compatible, so I only get plus. Yes. 17.
He's convinced. And nods at you. Okay. I guess that's fine.
After all, we're hiding you from those horrible people at the asylum.
Yeah. Yeah. They couldn't take me. They could take Frank, he's weak. He won't do what's needed. But not me. I will.
I can
Where's
see that.
the baby, George?
What baby?
The one that Jacqueline was looking after.
Thanks.
I like that thinking face.
And as he says that, you do hear a crying coming from the pile of heads. Oh, I must have forgot it on the table.
That's your sister, George.
He waves a hand and the heads just go toppling off the table like a very macabre Jenga tower. And you see the baby underneath, who's
You're a
very
strong
distressed.
boy. You need to look after your sister.
It makes noise.
Does.
Only because she's very young.
Faye's gonna go over to pick up Rebecca.
pick up Rebecca, the very distressed child you brought with you, and you.
The very distressed and probably bloodied baby.
Unfortunately.
Oh, sorry. Blood isn't harmful to babies, it'll be fine.
That's fine. As you tend with them. And
She's too young to remember this, it's fine.
Hopefully. It's like the one early memory. I just remember being buried under a pile of heads.
And it's as you all stand
Claustrophobic now.
with Frank as George still disturbed in this room of heads, with Alucard having made his revenge, Lilith confused, and Alexander very worn and covered in bits of everything. So we'll zoom out a bit. And we'll go ask each of you what you're going to do from here. You've managed to deal with the game, you've delivered the canister, you've achieved your goals, but there is one question left that remains. Lady Faye, where will you go? Are you staying here in York, or are you trying to make your way home? After all this has transpired, after your servant has been found in such a way, the disturbed child that you have of Frank.
I think that Faye will go to the facility and she'll set up an arrangement with Lady Vivian, basically taking over that patron contract.
Yeah.
But with highlighted, please send me all research, we'll send you mine back kind of deal.
Yeah.
I
I think that would work. I think that given the occurrence, the death of many guards across the entire city, though there are still many that remain, you would be given that as a chance to work with you, and the lack of money now coming in is invaluable.
And she'll suggest that Mr. Corvain, with his political contacts, might know of someone who wants to be mayor of York, since Lady Vivian is no longer around to run the city, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Make sure that it's nice and politically stable. But she intends to take her little galvanic battery and power the train all the way back to London.
Okay.
With Rebecca and Frank. And she will also ask Mr. Corvain that when his business is done, that he will also return to London.
Yeah, he
They
nods.
have an arrangement.
He agrees. He says when business is concluded, he will be there, but until then, he has business to conclude here. And he will make sure that your deal goes through.
Thank you, Alexander.
My pleasure. Be safe on your journey home. Are you to take the boy with you, or are you to leave him here?
Frank will come with me.
Of course, yeah. Alright, says the now calmed Frank a day later as
He needs to
goes
look
with
after
you.
Hunter.
I do, he says, and Hunter is rather happy again as he's kind of held by Frank. And the rest of you, you've had your night, and you know that Lady Faye is to depart.
And Faye will offer actually to send the train back to York, thanks to the ghost pilot that we know that can run it. And she'll tell them that it will wait there.
Okay.
And so Mr. Corvain can get it, and then if they want to go too, then they can get
You
it.
can take it, yeah. And is there anything any of you wish to say to Lady Faye before her, Alec, the baby, Rebecca, Hunter, and Frank depart?
Well, we did it. There was times I didn't think it was going to happen, but good job, Lady Faye.
Yes, we accomplished everything we all wanted to in this little outing.
Do you need any supplies for your journey back?
I believe my medical bag is well stocked, and with any luck, we shouldn't encounter anything that requires any healing.
I do like an exorbitant kind of bow towards, like, very courtly.
And since Lady Faye's headed back before us, Lilith will be like, could you pass along word or a note once you get to London to a Mr. Robbie Carr?
The gentleman from the pub.
Yes. Lovely, dear. Letting him know that I'll be back in town soon.
Pen it, and I shall take it.
About that,
I'll prepare the message for you.
thank you.
Let me guess. Sealed with a loving kiss.
Oh, maybe that's a little sappy for Robbie, but
As you like.
Robert, meanwhile, heartbroken that it's not sealed with a loving kiss.
He stumbles over somewhere. Oh.
Fail, write it, and then hand it to Lilith to put her lipstick or whatever on.
yeah.
Okay, no problem. You do so, and you have a letter to
Like,
Robert.
it's just I sprained my wrist with that gunshot, you know. It's
You
just such
should keep that gun.
yes, well, I suppose I know how to use it now.
Yes, I believe you are more well suited to it than I am.
You're a very good shot.
Well, Alec will be joining us on the train. I shouldn't need to shoot anything.
He nods. He nods silently. As always, at his sister's side.
She looks a little disappointed that she didn't get to seduce either Alec or Lady Faye. But she hasn't the time.
It was a pleasure meeting you again and traveling with you, Lady Faye.
Yes, Alucard, it was quite the adventure.
It was. You are a sounding individual to your house, and I look forward to hearing all of your endeavors in many papers to come.
Yes.
Well, I hope you will visit us in London, of course.
Of
Yeah,
course.
as long as we're welcome. If you need
The
anything.
Dunmire estate is very hospitable.
And with that, I imagine you depart.
Oh,
This is
and
anything
friends. Lady Elizabeth Redthorn shouldn't bother you.
Thank you.
Right.
She's
Bec-
psychotic. And I hear there is a very good mental facility that is searching for lost patients.
It is true.
Mm-hmm.
And of course her dear sister in York misses her, so who knows where Lady Redthorn may go. But perhaps a little time and peace away from the strains of London will do her good.
Can't but agree more. You'll be safe.
Take care.
And you both.
And it's with that amazing drop that you depart, and you get on your train safely, and you begin to see the scenery roll past. And as you get towards the tunnel, as it begins to descend, Lady Faye, you and only you see to the west. You see thousands of dark figures enclosing on York as you finally go underground. And Lilith and Alucard, you're left in the city of York, the walls around slowly being approached by these things that you have yet to see. And you can breathe a sigh of relief for at least today, as you've finished your job.
I
But
definitely snitched some valuables from Lady Vivian's house because George did such a good job clearing the place and Alucard was outside.
it is completely empty at the moment.
Well, I was going to say, Alucard actually stayed there and is
Yeah.
planning to take up residence for a bit.
So you may stay there if you wish and nab whatever you please.
Yes, and of course she recommends before Alexander keeps on with his revenge quest. She's figured it out. It wasn't that hard. She recommends he takes a night to himself to rest and relax and take it easy.
So could you give me a final seduction roll, please? With
Yes.
this time having the compatibility bonus.
The most important role of the game today.
Ah, I've been waiting this whole campaign for this moment.
Let's see.
Hold on.
Let's
I
see
guess
what
I'm-
Lilith's final seduction roll is.
I still have 2 second chances.
Okay. Alright, that's
so-
fair if you want to sync those.
Oh god, yes, second chance it. Second chance. There we go. 25.
I just saw the other check come in.
I
of
know.
the crit fail. That would have been the best ending, though.
Oh no!
So how about a night off? No revenge calls. Oh.
Oh, that's why I had to save a second chance.
Yeah, of course.
I had
But
to.
on the 25, you manage. As he kind of looks over to you and goes, you know, you've been quite eager. And besides that point, I think after what happened,
You
you do
could tell.
deserve an evening off. So show
You
me
do
what
deserve
one
it.
that is fun is like. And we'll cut away. As Alucard, you sit in your new manor, the one that was owned by the woman who did so many bad things to you after you have killed her, the sort of outline of her ashes still in the garden. Lady Faye, you take your long ride home on the train. Minus one servant, but with so many more possibilities ready for you and laid out. And Lilith, you get it.
I might tell him the next morning, like, by the way, when I almost died, the Grim Reaper said you only had a week left to live, and that was like 2 days ago. So, I plan your revenge out in the next 5 days.
You what? And that's where we'll cut the campaign. So, thank you everybody for playing. It's been amazing to play with you guys. And of course, Beardy as well, who we've missed dearly with Francis Henry. And of course, Alec, who Jim Urgent unfortunately wasn't able to get to the end of the campaign with us. But all of you have been brilliant. I've absolutely loved playing with all of you. So thank you for being here. So we're going to go around one last time for this group and just let me know what your favourite moment was of today's session and what your favourite moment was of the campaign. And let us know where we can find you. And then at the end, we'll call it. So, Alucard.
Hey, yeah, guys, this was great. Great last moments. Man, good job. We picked up the psychic.
Yeah, that could have been much more messy when you had like 10 Death Watch officers with rifles firing at you as well. Like,
I know, right? That would have been crazy.
That was brave.
Yeah, man. But no, it all panned out, so super awesome. My favorite thing of the whole campaign was when Lilith opened the book, and the first thing that came to mind was creepy ghost sex. It was just like most randomest thing. Like, that's what really. It was great.
I did love that.
It was funny. But no, I loved all of the campaign. Everyone was super awesome. So thank you for having me, inviting me. I can't believe I got to play with so many awesome people just throughout as well. So thank you. But I am Pro Restarter. You can catch me on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram, all under the same name. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for being here, Pro. You've been an absolute joy to play with. So thank you so much for playing Alucard. He's been brilliant throughout the campaign, and seeing that final moment of revenge, which I didn't expect today. It was really cool to see, nonetheless. That's a cool ending. And speaking of a happy ending, Lilith.
Damn straight. That was super duper fun and intense. You're like, yeah, like you're surrounded by like dozens of vampires. I was like, oh, that's great. Because I remember how the conversation went last week. Like, make sure no vampires eat her. I'm like, I'm just a buffet, and Lady Faye tastes good. We're just gonna get eaten. But it didn't happen. So that was good. That was super awesome with the battle at the end with Lady Faye just sticking her with the thing and dragging her out through the window and headshotting that guy. I guess I'm joining Nocturne. I guess. Like, I don't mean for these things to keep happening, but they do. And I may not have gotten a freaky train ghost sex, but I did get Alexander, flicking him off the bango board. That was good. It was awesome. I cannot wait for more. I love this game. I love the system. I love you people. You people are amazing and great. And I like how Lady Faye and Lilith didn't end up as friends, but at least they ended cordial. They're now cordial with each other, which is big progress.
Massive progress.
And I also got Jacqueline before she died, so I'm just checking off lists. This is great. You can find me online at Laugh Level Indie, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all that good stuff. I play in and DM a lot of tabletop RPGs. You can find me playing Unhallowed every week with Hollowtail on Encounter Roleplay, but this time I get to be the Dampier and I eat a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
And it's great. Not quite as lewd, but you know, it's still fun.
Of course. And yeah, thank you very much for playing. It's been amazing to have you along the ride, Lindy. And Lilith has been quite the character, so it's been very fun. And
she's so good at things she's not supposed to be.
Yeah, I'm really bad at combat. Insta kill, kills a vampire. It's like, what are you doing? So yeah,
One hit,
Having
one
this
kill.
vision in my head of this scene as Faye delivers this note to Robbie Carr, and she's like, "No, I assure you, it does not say I'm interested in a threesome. I promise you, none of those words are threesome. What is a threesome? No, I don't want to know.
I can show you, Lady Faye.
yeah, oh my
Some sort of drug combination, I'm sure.
yeah, definitely that.
I mean, we call that a sixsome, but yes.
My God. Anyway, so on that note, though, yeah, Lady Faye, Charlie, thank you for playing. It's been amazing to have you in this game. You've been brilliant to have along.
Yeah, it's been so much fun. One of my favorite moments is the moment that didn't happen on stream, which was Robbie Carr asking for
Yeah.
a threesome, and the reason that we love Robbie Carr so much.
Yeah, definitely. He knows what he wants.
It was quite the journey, and Lady Faye was very happy to be heading home. And she's collected people, she's lost people, but she now has a galvanic battery, which is apparently infinitely powerful. So she's going to be very busy for the foreseeable future, modernizing and improving things in London. Not to mention access to a massive research facility in York, hypothetically. I sense that communications with York may be lost very soon.
Possibly will be, yes. But regardless of that, you've all been amazing. Thank you, everybody who's been watching week in, week out, whether it's on here or on YouTube. You're all amazing. Thank you for joining along for this journey. It's been like a very big learning experience. It's been amazing to do this game, so thank you. And again, thanks to my players. You've all been here consistently, and you've all been consistently brilliant. It's been absolutely fun to play this. This was
I
the
do
first...
have a couple of things
Yeah.
I'd like to plug, Hollow, before you
Yeah, go
wrap
ahead.
all the way up. Firstly, on Thursdays, if you love Unhallowed Metropolis, head to Encounter Roleplay, because the wonderful Lindy and Hollow and some awesome people are playing over there at 4 p.m. Eastern. It's a really great game. They are all dressed up. There's a chicken boy. Bok to the chicken god, I think is the phrase.
Yeah.
Yeah, please check that out. And in 10 minutes on Encounter Roleplay, we are actually kicking off our monthly meat grinder, which is a fun drive, which is raising money for our casts. And it's got Jonathan Fry DMing Castle Ravenloft meets Castlevania. So please come and check that out. It should be a lot of fun. We have, I think, 12 victims lined up for Dawn.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I just wanted to plug those two things because they're kind of related to what's going on right now.
Brilliant. Yeah, definitely related. And yeah, like I said, you've all been amazing. And yeah, like definitely check out the Thursday game. It's a blast of fun. If you like this one, this was more of a sort of journey to a place. That one is much more political. There's a lot going on in the same place, and there is tons of mystery in that one, so definitely check it out. And yeah, until then, we'll be back soon. Both of the ongoing campaigns on here, aside from the Monday campaign Mistborn, which will be back on Monday at basically 8:30 p.m. UK, which is 3:30 p.m. EDT. As I'm good at time conversions now and then. Come over there, you'll find some spooky pirates and Ravenloft stuff in 5th edition D&D. It's an absolute blast. I'm having a fun with that. You'll also see Charlie in there as well, playing a brilliant pirate, Farah. And aside from that, we'll be back soon with a couple of Halloween-themed one-shots over October. And then in November, we'll be kicking up with our Season 2. So I will see you all there. Thank you, everybody who's been coming along. And, well, I'd say beware what bumps in the night, but Alucard's dealt with it today, as have the rest. So don't do that, just have a nice night, and I will speak to you later. Goodbye.